I went to see a new doctor after months of suffering pain that my husband always dismissed as just stress. He looked at the results, then suddenly stopped. His expression changed. "Who was monitoring your condition before?" I replied, "My husband. He's a doctor." The room fell silent. He looked at me longer than usual, then lowered his voice. "We need to check immediately. There's something in your body that shouldn't be there." And at that moment, I knew my life was about to fall apart. I'm so grateful you're here. Drop a comment below. Where are you watching? From country and city, I love hearing from viewers worldwide. Your support means everything and helps spread this important message. A quick reminder. This story contains fictional elements crafted for entertainment and education. Any similarities to specific names or places are unintentional, but the lessons are valuable. 6 months now, I haven't slept through a single night. The pain starts around 2 in the morning, a dull, persistent ache in my lower left pelvis that feels like someone's slowly twisting a knife and won't let go. I've tried everything: heating pads, ibuprofen, those lavender essential oils my coworker swears by. Nothing works. By dawn, I'm curled up on the bathroom floor, pressing a cold towel against my forehead, wondering if this is what dying feels like. Vincent says I'm being dramatic. "You're just stressed, Rachel," he told me last Tuesday, not even looking up from his morning coffee. "You're a graphic designer. You sit all day. Your muscles are tight. Take some Advil and relax." I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw the coffee mug across our Pearl District apartment and watch it shatter against the exposed brick wall he spent 3 months picking out. But I didn't. Because Vincent is a doctor, an OB/GYN at Pacific Women's Health Clinic, one of the most respected practices in Portland. He's delivered over 200 babies in the last 5 years. He's published papers on cervical health. He's the expert. And I'm just me. 38 years old, freelance graphic designer, no medical degree, no right to question him. Except the pain isn't going away. Last week I broke one of Vincent's unspoken rules. I Googled my symptoms. I know he hates when I do that. He's told me 100 times that, "Doctor, Google is dangerous, that patients who self-diagnose always get it wrong." But at 3 in the morning, when the pain was so bad I couldn't breathe, I grabbed my phone and typed "chronic pelvic pain left side." The results terrified me. Endometriosis, pelvic inflammatory disease, ovarian cysts. Ectopic pregnancy, though that one didn't make sense since we haven't been trying for kids. Not since the miscarriage 10 years ago, back when we were still dating. Vincent said it was natural, that my body just wasn't ready. I believed him. I always believe him. But this pain doesn't feel natural. It feels like something is wrong. 2 days ago, I worked up the courage to ask him again. "Vincent, I really think I need to see someone, a specialist. Maybe get an ultrasound," or he cut me off. "I am a specialist, Rachel. Do you not trust me?" His voice was calm. Too calm. That's the thing about Vincent, he never yells. He doesn't have to. He just looks at you with those cool gray eyes and makes you feel like you're the problem. "I do trust you," I said quickly. You're imagining things. You're anxious. You've always been anxious." And there it was. The same script he's been running for 5 years. You're imagining things. You're overthinking. You're too emotional. He's so good at it that sometimes I wonder if he's right. Maybe I am just anxious. Maybe the pain is psychosomatic. Maybe I'm making it worse by obsessing over it. But then I remember I can barely walk some mornings. I've started working from home 3 days a week because sitting in the studio downtown is unbearable. I've stopped going to yoga. I've stopped meeting Natalie for coffee at Stumptown because I'm terrified the pain will hit while I'm out, and I'll have to explain why I'm doubled over in the middle of a crowded cafe. Vincent controls everything. He's the one on our health insurance. He's the one who schedules my annual checkups, always at his clinic, always with his colleagues. He's the one who picks up my prescriptions. When we first got married, I thought it was sweet. He's taking care of me, I told myself. He's making sure I'm healthy. Now it feels like a cage. I grew up in foster care, bounced between 3 families before I aged out at 18. I learned early that you don't ask for help, you don't make waves, you keep your head down and survive. When I met Vincent at 28, he was everything I'd never had: stable, successful, confident. He made decisions. He took charge. I didn't have to worry about anything. I didn't realize until too late that taking charge meant I wasn't allowed to make my own choices anymore. Last night I made one anyway. I waited until Vincent left for his evening shift at the clinic. He's been taking extra hours lately, says they're short-staffed. As soon as his car pulled out of the garage, I grabbed my laptop and searched for OB/GYNs in Portland. Not at Pacific Women's Health. Somewhere else. Somewhere he wouldn't know. I found one Cascade Medical Center in Northeast Portland. Dr. James Mitchell, 5-star reviews. Patient said he was thorough, kind, and actually listened. I booked an appointment for tomorrow afternoon. The scheduler asked if I wanted to add my spouse to the contact list. I said no. My hands were shaking when I hung up. I felt like I'd just committed a crime. Vincent's going to find out eventually. He always does. He'll check the insurance claims. He'll ask where I was. He'll want to know why I didn't tell him. And I don't have a good answer, except that I'm tired. Tired of being dismissed. Tired of being told my pain isn't real. Tired of living in a body that feels like it's betraying me while my own husband, my doctor husband, tells me it's all in my head. Maybe Dr. Mitchell will say the same thing. Maybe Vincent's right and I'm just stressed. Maybe I'll walk into that appointment tomorrow and feel like an idiot for doubting the man I married. But maybe someone will finally believe me. I glance at the clock. It's 1:47 a.m. The pain is starting again, a slow burn that radiates from my pelvis, down my left thigh. I reach for the heating pad on the nightstand, the one I've used so many times the fabric is starting to fray. Vincent is asleep beside me. He's always been a deep sleeper. He doesn't stir when I shift positions, doesn't notice when I slip out of bed and pad quietly to the bathroom. He doesn't see me brace myself against the sink, staring at my reflection in the mirror. Pale skin, dark circles under my eyes, a woman who looks 10 years older than she is. I think about tomorrow, about walking into Cascade Medical Center and sitting across from a stranger, about explaining everything, the pain, the Googling, the fear that something is seriously wrong, about admitting that I've been living with this for 6 months because my husband told me it wasn't real. Maybe he'll be angry when he finds out. Maybe he'll accuse me of not trusting him. Maybe he'll make me feel guilty the way he always does. But I can't do this anymore. I can't keep pretending everything is fine when every morning I wake up feeling like my body is on fire. Tomorrow I'm going to find out what's really going on, even if it means Vincent never forgives me. Maybe he'll be furious, but I can't take this anymore. I'm sitting in the exam room at Cascade Medical Center, my hands trembling as I fill out the intake form on a clipboard. The pen keeps slipping between my fingers. There's a question near the bottom: emergency contact name and relationship. I stare at the blank line. I can't remember the last time I went to a doctor without Vincent beside me. Actually, that's not true. I remember exactly when it was 9 years ago before we got married. I had a routine checkup at a walk-in clinic in Beaverton. Vincent wasn't my husband yet, just my boyfriend. He didn't need to know. Now he's on every form, every insurance document, every medical decision. Except today, I write down Natalie's name and number, my old college roommate. We don't talk as much as we used to. Vincent says she's too dramatic, but she's the only person I trust right now. I slide the clipboard back across the reception desk, half expecting the nurse to call Vincent and tell him I'm here. She doesn't. She just smiles and says, "Dr. Mitchell will be with you shortly." The waiting room smells like antiseptic and lavender. There's a poster on the wall about ovarian cancer screening, another about IUDs, intrauterine devices, safe, effective, long-term birth control. I've never considered getting one. Vincent always said we'd figure out family planning together, which really meant he'd decide when and if we had kids. I flip through a magazine without reading it. My phone buzzes. Vincent. I silence it. It buzzes again and again. I turn it face down on my lap. Rachel Whitmore. I look up. A tall man in his mid-40s stands in the doorway. He's wearing navy scrubs and wire-rimmed glasses. His name tag reads, Dr. James Mitchell, OB/GYN. That's me, I say, standing too quickly. My knees wobble. Come on back. His voice is warm, steady, not like Vincent's clinical tone. Let's figure out what's going on. The exam room is smaller than the ones at Pacific Women's Health Clinic, but somehow it feels less intimidating. Dr. Mitchell sits on a rolling stool and flips through my intake form. So chronic pelvic pain for 6 months, he says, and you've been managing it with over-the-counter pain relievers. Yeah, ibuprofen mostly, heating pads. Sometimes I can't get out of bed. Have you seen anyone else about this? I hesitate. My husband. He's an OB-GYN. He said it was just stress. Dr. Mitchell's expression doesn't change, but I notice the way his pen pauses mid-note. And you wanted a second opinion. I wanted to make sure, I say quietly. The pain isn't going away, it's getting worse. I can barely work some days. Okay. He sets the clipboard down. Let's start with an ultrasound. I want to see what's happening internally. Have you had one recently? Not in years. Vincent said I didn't need one. Dr. Mitchell nods slowly, but something flickers across his face. Concern, maybe, or doubt. Well, let's take a look now. I lie back on the exam table staring at the ceiling tiles while Dr. Mitchell preps the ultrasound machine. The gel is cold against my lower abdomen. I hear the machine hum to life, and then silence. Rachel, he says slowly, when was your last pelvic exam? 6 months ago. Vincent did it at his clinic. Did he do an ultrasound? No, just a physical exam. He said everything looked fine. Dr. Mitchell doesn't respond. His eyes are fixed on the screen. I turn my head to look, but I can't make sense of the black and gray shapes. What is it? I ask. He angles the screen toward me and points to a small, bright object lodged deep in the uterine wall. Do you see this? I squint. Is that a cyst? No. His voice is careful, controlled. That's an IUD. The room tilts. A what? An intrauterine device. It's a form of birth control. This one appears to be embedded in your uterine lining. I sit up so fast the gel smears across my shirt. That's not possible. I've never had an IUD. I would know if... Rachel. Dr. Mitchell's tone is firm but gentle. This device has been in place for at least 7 to 8 years, maybe longer. My mouth goes dry. 8 years! He nods. And it's causing significant inflammation. That's why you're in pain. The device has migrated into the uterine wall. That shouldn't happen with proper placement and monitoring. I can't breathe. 8 years. 8 years. I think back 2017. That was the year Vincent said I needed surgery. He told me I had a small ovarian cyst. Nothing serious, but it needed to be removed before it caused problems. I trusted him. I signed the consent forms. I went under anesthesia and woke up in recovery with Vincent holding my hand, telling me everything went perfectly. Rachel. Dr. Mitchell is watching me closely. Are you okay? I don't understand, I whisper. I never agreed to an IUD. Why would I stop? My brain is moving too fast, connecting dots I don't want to connect. Are you sure it's been there that long? The imaging suggests it's an older model. Possibly a copper IUD from the mid-2000s. They're not commonly used anymore. The FDA issued warnings about some of those devices. He pauses. I'm going to order some blood work. I want to check your inflammatory markers, specifically your CRP levels. CRP, C-reactive protein. It's a marker for inflammation. If it's elevated, it confirms what I'm seeing on the ultrasound. It'll also help us assess whether there's been long-term damage. I nod, but I'm not really listening. My mind is stuck on one question. How did an IUD get inside me without my knowledge? A nurse comes in and draws blood. I watch the vial fill with dark red liquid, thinking about Vincent's hands. The same hands that held mine. The same hands that performed surgery on me. The same hands that... No, I can't think about that right now. 20 minutes later, I'm back in the exam room. Dr. Mitchell comes in, holding a printout. Your CRP is 85 milligrams per liter, he says. Normal is under 10. What does that mean? It means you have severe chronic inflammation. The IUD is likely causing it, along with potential scarring and tissue damage. He sits down across from me. Rachel, this is serious. You need surgery to remove it. Soon. If we don't, the inflammation could lead to infection, permanent scarring, or worse. Okay, I say numbly. Okay. But before we schedule anything, I need to ask you something. His gaze is steady, unflinching. Who performed your surgery 8 years ago? My throat tightens. I already know the answer. I've known since the moment he said 8 years. My husband, I whisper. Dr. Vincent Palmer. Dr. Mitchell's jaw tightens. He doesn't say anything for a long moment. Then, Rachel, I'm legally required to document this. If a medical device was implanted without your informed consent, that's a serious violation. Do you understand what I'm saying? I nod, but my hands are shaking again. Worse than before. I'm going to refer you to a surgeon, Dr. Michael Porter at OHSU. He specializes in cases like this. He's removed embedded IUDs before, and he's very good. Doctor. Mitchell stands and places a hand on my shoulder. It's brief, professional, but kind. And Rachel, you might want to consider contacting a lawyer or the police. This isn't just medical malpractice. If what I think happened actually happened, it's assault. The word assault echoes in my head like a gunshot. I need you to promise me something, Dr. Mitchell says. Don't let Dr. Palmer know you came here. Not yet. Not until we have more information. Can you do that? I nod again, even though I know it's already too late. Vincent has been calling all morning. He knows. He always knows. Dr. Mitchell writes something on a prescription pad and hands it to me. This is for pain management until we can schedule the surgery. And here's my card. If you need anything, if you feel unsafe, call me. Day or night. I take the card with numb fingers. Thank you. Rachel. He says, his voice softer now. I know this is a lot to process, but you did the right thing coming here. You trusted your instincts. Don't stop trusting them now. I don't remember leaving the clinic. I don't remember walking through the parking lot. All I remember is sitting in my car staring at my phone. 17 missed calls from Vincent. 6 text messages. Where are you? Why aren't you answering? Rachel, you're scaring me. Call me back. I know you went to a doctor. Why didn't you tell me? We need to talk now. Rachel, answer your phone. My hands are shaking so hard I can barely hold the phone. I think about calling him back. I think about driving home and pretending everything is fine. I think about telling him doctor. Mitchell found nothing, that I'm just being paranoid that he was right all along. But then I remember the ultrasound screen, the small bright object embedded in my uterine wall, the device that's been inside me for 8 years, the device I never agreed to. I turn off my phone, and I drive to Natalie's house. When I wake up from the surgery, the first face I see isn't Vincent's, it's Doctor. Michael Porter's older, gray-haired, with deep lines etched around his eyes like someone who's spent decades delivering bad news. Welcome back, Rachel, he says quietly. His voice has the kind of steadiness you only hear in people who've seen too much. The procedure went well. You're in recovery now. I blink against the fluorescent lights. My mouth tastes like metal and antiseptic. There's a dull ache in my lower abdomen, not the stabbing pain I've lived with for 6 months, but something new, surgical, controlled. Vincent, I croak. My throat is raw from the breathing tube. Dr. Porter shakes his head. He's not here. Relief floods through me so fast I almost cry. I don't know when I made the decision, sometime between leaving Cascade Medical Center yesterday and checking into OHSU this morning, but I asked the intake nurse not to contact him. I didn't block his number. I couldn't bring myself to do that, but I turned my phone off and shoved it into the bottom of my purse. I didn't want him here, not for this. We removed the device. Dr. Porter continues. He pulls up a rolling stool and sits beside my bed. In his gloved hand, he's holding a small plastic bag. Inside is a T-shaped copper object, discolored and corroded. This is what was inside you. I stare at it. It looks ancient, ugly, like something dug out of the ground after years of decay. What is it? A serif copper IUD, serial number N4792B. He turns the bag over so I can see the faint engraving on the copper stem. This model was manufactured between 2005 and 2010. The FDA issued warnings about it back in 2011 due to high complication rates, uterine perforation, severe inflammation migration into surrounding tissue. Most clinics stopped using them after that. But Vincent used it, I whisper. In 2017, yes. Based on the corrosion patterns and tissue scarring, that's our estimate. The year he told me I needed surgery for a cyst. the year I trusted him completely. Copper oxidizes over time, Dr. Porter explains. When it's left in the body too long, it releases ions that trigger chronic inflammation. That's what caused your pain and the damage we found. Damage. He sets the bag down on the side table. We sent tissue samples to pathology. The inflammation caused cellular changes in your uterine lining. The report came back this morning. My chest tightens. What kind of changes? Dysplasia, grade 3. I don't know what that means, but the way he says it carefully like he's diffusing a bomb tells me it's bad. Is that cancer? Not yet, but it's precancerous. If we hadn't removed the IUD now... He pauses. Rachel, another 6 months, and we'd be talking about a very different conversation. The room spins. I close my eyes and try to breathe, but all I can think about is Vincent's hand on my shoulder 8 years ago telling me the surgery went perfectly. You're fine, Rach. Everything's fine. He lied. He didn't just lie, he planned this. Rachel! Dr. Porter's voice pulls me back. There's someone here who needs to speak with you. I know you're exhausted, but this is important. Before I can respond, the door opens. A woman steps in. Late 30s dark hair pulled into a tight bun, wearing black slacks and a blazer with a detective's badge clipped to her belt. Ms. Whitmore, she says, extending a hand. I'm Detective Rebecca Walsh with the Portland Police Bureau Sex Crimes Unit. Dr. Mitchell contacted us yesterday after your initial exam. I don't take her hand. I can't. My arms feel like lead. Sex crimes, I repeat, non-consensual medical procedures involving reproductive organs fall under our jurisdiction. She explains. Her tone is professional, but not unkind. Dr. Porter's findings corroborate what Dr. Mitchell reported. There's evidence that a medical device was implanted in your body without your informed consent. I didn't know, I whisper. I swear I didn't know. I believe you. Detective Walsh pulls a chair up to the opposite side of my bed. That's why I'm here. We need to document this formally. Do you feel up to answering a few questions? I nod, even though I don't. Even though all I want to do is close my eyes and pretend this is a nightmare I'll wake up from. Who performed your surgery in 2017? The question hangs in the air. I already know she knows the answer. Dr. Mitchell told her. Dr. Porter told her. But she needs to hear it from me. My husband, I say, my voice is barely audible, Dr. Vincent Palmer. Detective Walsh writes something in a small notebook. And did you consent to the placement of an IUD during that surgery? No, he told me it was for an ovarian cyst. He said it was small, nothing serious, but it needed to be removed. Did you review the surgical consent forms before signing them? I think back. Vincent had the forms waiting for me the night before the surgery. He walked me through them quickly, just standard stuff. Rach, nothing to worry about, and I signed without reading. I trusted him. Why wouldn't I? I signed them, I admit, but I didn't read them carefully. Do you have copies? No, Vincent kept all the paperwork. Walsh nods, still writing. We'll subpoena the clinic records. If the consent forms don't explicitly mention IUD placement, that's a clear violation. She looks up at me. Rachel, I need to ask you something difficult. Have you experienced any other situations where your husband made medical decisions for you without your full understanding or consent? The question cracks something open inside me. I think about the last 5 years, every time Vincent dismissed my pain, every time he told me I was overreacting, every time he scheduled appointments at his clinic without asking, the way he controlled my birth control, the way he never let me see another doctor. He always said he knew what was best, I whisper. I thought that's what marriage was. Trusting each other. Detective Walsh's expression softens just slightly. Trust goes both ways, Rachel. What happened to you wasn't marriage. It was control. I don't realize I'm crying until I taste salt on my lips. What happens now, I ask. We'll investigate. We'll pull records from Pacific Women's Health Clinic interview staff, examine the device Dr. Porter removed. She pauses. And we'll need to speak with your husband. He's been calling me, I say. 17 times yesterday. I turned my phone off. Good, Walsh stands. Keep it off for now. Don't contact him. Don't go home if you feel unsafe. Do you have somewhere you can stay? I think of Natalie. I haven't talked to her in months. Vincent always found reasons for me to cancel our plans. But she's the only person I can think of right now. Yet, I lie. Walsh hands me a business card. Call me if he tries to reach you through other means. If he shows up at your door, if anything feels wrong. She taps the card twice. I mean it, Rachel. This is serious. After she leaves, Dr. Porter checks my vitals one more time. You'll need to stay overnight for observation, he says. We'll schedule a follow-up in 2 weeks to review the pathology results and discuss next steps. Okay. He hesitates at the door. Rachel, for what it's worth, you did the right thing. Coming to Dr. Mitchell, getting the second opinion. A lot of people wouldn't have. I don't feel like I did the right thing. I feel like my entire life just imploded. When I'm finally alone, I reach for my purse and pull out my phone. The screen is black, dead. I plug it into the charger on the nightstand and wait. It takes 2 minutes to power on. When it does, the notifications flood in. 23 missed calls, 31 text messages, all from Vincent. I don't open them. I don't need to. I already know what they say. Where are you? Why aren't you answering, Rachel? You're scaring me. Call me back. But underneath the worry, I hear something else. Something I've heard for 5 years but never recognized until now. Control. I haven't gone home. 2 days now, lying in this hospital bed, staring at the pathology report like it's a death sentence written in clinical jargon. Dysplasia grade 3, cervical intraepithelial neoplasia, high-grade squamous lesion. Dr. Porter tried to explain it in terms I could understand. Precancerous, he said. Not cancer yet, but close. If we hadn't caught this now, you'd be looking at a 70% chance of developing cervical cancer within 5 years. 70%. I keep running that number through my head. 70% chance that the man I married, the man I trusted with my life, would have given me cancer. But we caught it, Dr. Porter added, as if that should make me feel better. You'll need follow-up treatment. A colposcopy first, then probably a LEEP procedure to remove the abnormal cells. It's outpatient. You'll be fine. Fine. That word doesn't mean anything anymore. I press the call button. A nurse appears within 2 minutes, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and orthopedic shoes. Her name tag says, Sandra. Everything okay, hon? She asks. Can I see the report again? She hesitates. Dr. Porter already went over it with you. I know. I need to see it. She retrieves the manila folder from the nurse's station and hands it to me. I flip through the pages slowly. Most of it is medical shorthand I don't understand, abbreviations, measurements, lab codes. But there's one section that's written in plain English, patient history. No prior documentation of abnormal pap smears. No record of HPV vaccination. Last gynecological exam, March 2025, performed by Dr. Vincent Palmer at Pacific Women's Health Clinic. Results marked as normal. March, 6 months ago. Vincent examined me, told me everything was fine and sent me on my way. He lied. He had to have known. Dysplasia doesn't develop overnight, it takes years, which means he knew I had precancerous cells and he did nothing. Or worse, he caused them. On Thursday afternoon, I finally work up the courage to call him. I unblock his number first. My hands are shaking so badly I almost drop the phone. It rings 3 times before he picks up. Rachel. His voice is calm, too calm, like he's been expecting this call. Where are you? I'm at OHSU. A pause. Are you okay? No, Vincent, I'm not okay. Another pause. Longer this time. What did they tell you? Not are you hurt, not what's wrong. Just what did they tell you? They found an IUD, I say quietly. A serif copper IUD. It was embedded in my uterine wall. I had surgery to remove it. Silence. Vincent, did you hear me? I heard you. Did you put it there? Rachel, did you put it there? I think you're confused. He says, his tone shifting into that condescending lilt I know so well. You had surgery 8 years ago, a routine ovarian cyst removal. I explained everything to you at the time. You never mentioned an IUD, because there wasn't one. Rachel, listen to me. You've been under a lot of stress lately. You're not thinking clearly. There it is, the gaslighting. The same script he's been running for 5 years. You're confused. You're stressed. You're imagining things. But this time I have proof. They have it, Vincent. The IUD, serial number N4792B. It's logged as evidence. The line goes dead silent. Not the kind of silence that means he's thinking. The kind that means I just said something he wasn't prepared for. What did you tell them? He asks finally. What did you tell the doctors? Did you mention me? Not, are you okay? Not, can I come see you? Just what did you tell them? My stomach turns. I told them the truth. Rachel, you need to be very careful right now. You don't understand the situation. Then explain it to me. Not over the phone. Why not? Because you're upset. You're not thinking rationally. We'll talk when you come home. I'm not coming home. Rachel, I hang up. My hands are still shaking. My whole body is shaking. I stare at the phone, half expecting him to call back. He doesn't. Instead, there's a knock on the door. Detective Walsh walks in holding a manila folder of her own. She's wearing the same blazer as before, but her expression is different, sharper, more focused. Ms. Whitmore, she says, pulling up a chair beside the bed. I have something I need to show you. She opens the folder and slides a single sheet of paper across the blanket. It's a photocopy of a handwritten log, the kind doctors use to track medical supplies. The header reads, Pacific Women's Health Clinic, Device Disposal Log. There are 3 columns, date, device type, serial number, and a 4th column for signatures. Detective Walsh points to one line dated April 12, 2017. Device type serif copper, IUD serial number N-4792-B, received by Dr. Vincent R. Palmer. His signature is right there. Looping, confident, unmistakable. I stare at it until the words blur together. This proves he handled the device, Detective Walsh says. We pulled this from the clinic's records this morning. Your husband signed for that IUD on the same day you had surgery. But that doesn't prove he put it inside me, I whisper. Not by itself, no. But combined with your testimony, the pathology report, and the fact that you never consented, it's enough to move forward. She leans back in her chair. Rachel, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Has Dr. Palmer ever accessed your medical records without your permission? Changed anything, withheld information? I think about the pathology report in my lap, the one that says my last exam was normal when it clearly wasn't. He's never let me see my own files, I say slowly. He always said it was easier if he just handled everything. He's on our insurance. He schedules my appointments. He picks up my prescriptions. Did you ever ask to see your records? Once, about 3 years ago. He said there was no point, that I wouldn't understand the medical terminology anyway. Detective Walsh writes that down, and you believed him. He's a doctor. Why wouldn't I? She looks at me for a long moment. Not with pity, exactly. Something closer to anger. Because he's also your husband, she says quietly. And husbands don't get to decide what their wives know about their own bodies. After she leaves, I sit alone in the too bright hospital room, holding the disposal log in my hands. April 12th, 2017. I remember that day. I remember waking up in recovery, groggy and disoriented, with Vincent sitting beside me. He held my hand. He told me the surgery went perfectly. He said the cyst was small, benign, nothing to worry about. He lied. He took that IUD serial number N4792B and he put it inside me while I was unconscious, while I was trusting him. And then he watched me suffer for 8 years. I pull out my phone and scroll through the voicemails I never listened to. There are 21 of them. I press play on the most recent one. Vincent's voice fills the room, low and steady. Rachel, I don't know what they've told you, but you need to come home. We need to talk about this face to face. You're making a mistake, please. Call me back. I delete it. Then I delete the next one, and the next. All 21 of them gone. When I'm done, I open my contacts and scroll to his name, Vincent Palmer, MD. I change it to Do Not Answer. And then I call Natalie. Detective Walsh suggested we meet at a coffee shop instead of the precinct. Less intimidating, she said, more comfortable. But when I walk into the Stumptown on Northwest Gleason and see the stack of file folders on the table in front of her, I know this isn't going to be a comfortable conversation. I'm staying with Natalie now. Her guest room smells like lavender and old books, and she doesn't ask too many questions. She just handed me a spare key and said, "Stay as long as you need." I've been sleeping 12 hours a night, waking up disoriented, forgetting for a few blissful seconds that my life has imploded. Then I remember. Detective Walsh stands when she sees me. "Thanks for coming, Rachel. Can I get you something coffee tea?" "Just water." She nods and flags down a barista. I sit across from her, folding my hands in my lap to keep them from shaking. The cafe is busy Sunday morning crowd people typing on laptops, reading newspapers, living their normal lives. I wonder if I'll ever feel normal again. Walsh slides a bottle of sparkling water across the table. "How are you feeling?" "I'm fine," I lie. She doesn't push. Instead, she opens the top folder. "I wanted to update you on where we are with the investigation. We've been going through the records from Pacific Women's Health Clinic. This is what we found." She pulls out 2 documents. The first is the disposal log I saw in the hospital. Vincent's signature dated April 12th, 2017, next to serial number N4792B. The second is a consent form. My name is printed at the top, Rachel Whitmore. Procedure laparoscopic ovarian cystectomy. I scan the page. There's a long paragraph of medical jargon. At the bottom, there's a signature line. My signature. "I sign this," I say quietly. "You did, but look at what it says." I read it again slower this time. "The patient consents to the removal of an ovarian cyst via laparoscopic surgery. Patient understands the risks, benefits, and alternatives. It doesn't mention an IUD, I whisper. Exactly. There's no documentation anywhere in your file that you consented to the placement of an intrauterine device, which means he did it without asking." Walsh nods. "In Oregon, that's a violation of informed consent laws. It's also assault." I stare at the form. I remember signing it. Vincent brought it home the night before the surgery. He said, "Just a formality, babe. Standard consent for outpatient procedures." I didn't read it carefully. Why would I? He was my fiancé. He was a doctor. I trusted him. "Rachel." Walsh says gently, "I need to ask you something, and I need your honest answer. Do you have access to your phone records? Specifically call logs and text message data?" I frown. "Our phones are on the same plan. I'm the primary account holder. So you can pull records for both lines." "Yeah, what?" She leans forward. "Because I'd like to see who your husband has been talking to." 20 minutes later, I'm logged into our Verizon account on Walsh's laptop. My hands are steadier now. I'm running on autopilot, clicking through screens, downloading PDFs. It's easier than thinking about what we might find. "Okay," I say, pulling up Vincent's call log. "What am I looking for?" "Patterns, repeat numbers, anything that stands out." I scroll through the list. Most of the calls are to Pacific Women's Health Clinic, a few to colleagues, a handful to me. And then I see it. One number appears over and over again, 3, sometimes 4 times a day. The calls started 2 years ago and have been consistent ever since. Some last 3 minutes, some last 30. "This one," I say, pointing at the screen. "Who is this?" Walsh types the number into a reverse lookup tool. It takes about 10 seconds. A name appears, Amanda Collins, age 28. Registered address, Beaverton, Oregon. I stare at the name. I don't know her. "Are you sure? Could she be a colleague? A patient?" Vincent doesn't talk about his patients by name, and I've never heard him mention an Amanda. Walsh writes the name down. "Okay, let me run a background check. Give me a second." She pulls out her phone and makes a call. I sit there numb, listening to the hum of espresso machines and the murmur of conversation around us. A couple at the next table is arguing about whether to get a dog. I want to tell them not to bother. Dogs need trust. Trust is a lie. Walsh hangs up and looks at me. "Amanda Collins works as a nurse. Want to guess where?" My stomach drops. "Pacific Women's Health Clinic." Bingo. I close my eyes. He's having an affair. That's one possibility. Walsh's voice is careful, measured. "But we don't know that yet. It could be work-related. They're colleagues." "Colleagues don't call each other 4 times a day." She doesn't argue. I pull up the text message log. There are hundreds of messages between Vincent and this number, but they're all deleted on his end, marked as content unavailable. He wiped them. He deleted everything. I say, "That's fine. We can subpoena the carrier. They keep records for up to 6 months." Walsh closes the laptop. "Rachel, I know this is a lot, but I need you to understand something. If Dr. Palmer is involved with someone else that could be relevant to the case, it might explain motive. Motive for what? For placing an IUD inside you without your knowledge. I stare at her. You think he was trying to keep me from getting pregnant? I think it's a possibility worth investigating. The room tilts. I grip the edge of the table. Why would he do that? I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out. She slides a business card across the table. This is Amanda Collins' address. I'll be paying her a visit this week. If you want to be there, I do. Rachel, I don't think that's a good idea. This is an active investigation. I want to be there. I say again, my voice steadier this time. I need to see her face when you ask her about my husband. Walsh studies me for a long moment, then she nods. Okay, but you let me do the talking. I leave the coffee shop with Walsh's card in my pocket and a name burned into my brain, Amanda Collins. I don't know who she is yet, but I'm about to find out. I'm standing in front of Pacific Women's Health Clinic for the second time in my life. The first time was 8 years ago, the morning of my surgery. Vincent drove me here at 6 a.m. I remember the building looked smaller than I expected. Brick facade tinted windows, a sign out front with looping cursive letters. I remember thinking, this is where my husband saves lives. Now I'm thinking this is where he destroyed mine. Detective Walsh is beside me, her hand resting on the door handle. You ready? I nod even though I'm not. The reception area smells like synthetic lavender. A woman in her early 30s sits behind the desk, typing on a computer. Her name tag reads, Jessica. She looks up and smiles, bright, professional, practiced. Good morning. Do you have an appointment? Walsh steps forward, pulling out her badge. Detective Rebecca Walsh, Portland Police Bureau. I'm looking for Dr. Vincent Palmer. Is he in today? Jessica's smile falters. No. Dr. Palmer is on leave for the next 2 weeks. Medical leave? I'm not sure. I just know he's not seeing patients right now. Walsh glances at me, then back at Jessica. Do you know where he is? I can't give out that information. Even to the police. Jessica hesitates. I'd need to check with the office manager. You do that. Walsh sets a business card on the desk. Have them call me. We leave. Outside, I take a breath, deep, shaky. He's hiding. Looks like it. Walsh unlocks her car, but I know where to find him. Beaverton is 15 miles southwest of Portland, a sprawl of suburbs, strip malls, and cookie-cutter housing developments. Walsh drives with both hands on the wheel, eyes sharp scanning street signs. How did you know his car was here? I ask. Ran the plates this morning. Vehicle registered to Dr. Vincent Palmer was logged at an address on Maple Ridge Drive. Same address as Amanda Collins. My stomach twists. You think he's living with her? I think it's worth finding out. We turn onto Maple Ridge, a quiet street lined with oak trees and 2-story houses. Kids' bikes on front lawns, minivans in driveways. The kind of neighborhood where people wave to each other and know their neighbors' names. Walsh slows the car. There. A silver Lexus is parked in the driveway of a pale yellow house. I recognize the license plate. Vincent's car. Stay here, Walsh says, unbuckling her seatbelt. No. She looks at me. Rachel, I'm coming with you. For a moment, I think she's going to argue, but then she nods. Okay, but let me do the talking. We walk up the driveway. The front door has a wreath on it, fake sunflowers, cheerful and out of place. Walsh knocks. Footsteps, the door opens. The woman standing in front of me is young, late 20s, blonde hair pulled into a messy bun, wearing yoga pants and an oversized sweatshirt. Her belly is round, unmistakable. 6 months pregnant, maybe more. She looks at Walsh first, then at me. Can I help you? Walsh holds up her badge. Detective Rebecca Walsh, Portland Police. Are you Amanda Collins? Amanda's eyes widen. Yes. What's going on? Is something wrong? I'm investigating a case involving Dr. Vincent Palmer. Is he here? Vincent, no, he's at work. Why, what happened? Walsh glances at me, then back at Amanda. Ma'am, when was the last time you saw Dr. Palmer? This morning. He left around 7. He had early appointments. Amanda's voice is rising, now panicked. Why are you asking me this? Is he okay? I can't hold it in anymore. I'm his wife. Amanda's face goes blank. What? Rachel Whitmore, I'm Vincent's wife. She stares at me like I just spoke a foreign language. That's not possible. Vincent isn't married. He told me. She stops. Her hand moves to her stomach, protective. Who are you? I just told you. I'm his wife. We've been married for 5 years. Amanda shakes her head, backing up a step. No, that's not true. Vincent and I have been together for 7 years. We have 2 kids. He's the father of this baby. You're lying. 7 years. The number hits me like a punch. 7 years. That means he was with her before he married me. That means... A child's voice cuts through my thoughts. Mommy, who's at the door. I look past Amanda. A little girl, 6, maybe 7, stands in the hallway. She has Vincent's dark hair, Vincent's sharp jaw. She's holding a juice box and staring at us with wide, curious eyes. Grace, go back to your room, Amanda says, her voice shaking. But now. Another voice, smaller, younger. Grace, wait for me. A boy appears behind her, 4 years old, messy curls, clutching a stuffed dinosaur. He looks exactly like the photos of Vincent as a child that I've seen in his mother's house. Grace, Lucas, 2 kids. Vincent's kids. I can't breathe. I can't move. I'm standing on a stranger's porch staring at a family that shouldn't exist. A family my husband built while I was sleeping in his bed, trusting him, loving him. Rachel. Walsh says quietly, her hand on my arm. He told you he wasn't married. I ask Amanda, my voice flat. Amanda's face is pale. Yes, he said his ex-wife died, that he was raising Grace alone when we met, that he wanted a fresh start. His ex-wife? That's what he said. I laugh. It's a broken, hollow sound. I'm not dead. I'm right here. Amanda stares at me. Then slowly her expression shifts from confusion to horror to something that looks like understanding. Oh my God, he lied to me. Yeah, I say, he did. I step into the house of another woman with the strangest sense of unreality, like I'm watching a movie, except this is my life shattering piece by piece. The living room is small but tidy. There's a sectional couch with throw pillows, a coffee table covered in coloring books and crayons, a flat-screen TV playing Bluey on mute. Photos line the mantel above the fireplace, Amanda and the kids at the beach, Amanda and the kids at a pumpkin patch, and in every single one, Vincent. Vincent holding Grace as a newborn, Vincent pushing Lucas on a swing, Vincent with his arm around Amanda, both of them smiling like they don't have a care in the world. I stare at the photos until Detective Walsh touches my elbow. Rachel, sit down. I sink onto the couch. Amanda sits across from me, her hands folded over her belly. She looks like she might cry or throw up. Maybe both. Grace, Lucas. Amanda calls toward the hallway. Go to your room and play with your toys. Okay, Mommy needs to talk to these people. But I want to watch TV, Grace whines. Now, Grace. The little girl huffs but obeys, dragging her brother behind her. The door at the end of the hall clicks shut. Detective Walsh pulls out her notepad. Miss Collins, I need you to tell me everything you know about Dr. Vincent Palmer. Start from the beginning. Amanda takes a shaky breath. I met him 7 years ago. I was working as a nurse at Pacific Women's Health Clinic. He was charming, confident. He said his wife had died 2 years earlier, cancer. He said he was raising his daughter alone and didn't know if he'd ever find love again. She laughs bitterly. I thought I was saving him. What daughter? I ask. Amanda looks at me confused. Grace. He said she was his from his first marriage. My stomach turns. Grace isn't from a first marriage. She's yours. I know that now. Her voice cracks. But at the time, he told me his ex-wife died when Grace was a baby. He said he wanted to start over, that I was the only good thing in his life. I close my eyes. It's the same script, the same lies, just a different woman. When did you get pregnant with Lucas? Walsh asks. 2 years after Grace, 2021. Vincent said he wanted a big family. He said we'd get married after Lucas was born. Amanda's hands tighten over her stomach. We never did. Did he give you a reason? He said his ex-wife's family was contesting the will, that he couldn't legally remarry until it was settled. I believed him. She looks at me. I'm so stupid. You're not stupid, I say quietly. You're not the one who lied. Walsh writes something down. Ms. Collins, does Dr. Palmer provide financial support? Yes. He transfers $7,200 into my account every month. Has for the last 6 years. $7,200. I do the math in my head, that's over $500,000 across 6 years. Where does that money come from? Walsh asks. His salary, I assume. He's a doctor. He makes good money. Did he ever ask you to sign anything, non-disclosure agreements, custody paperwork? No, he just sends the money. Direct deposit first of every month. Walsh glances at me. I can see the question in her eyes. Where is Vincent getting that kind of cash? Amanda. I say slowly, did Vincent ever mention California? Her face changes surprise, maybe relief. Yes, last month he said we were moving to San Francisco in January. He bought a house there. He said it was time for a fresh start, that Portland had too many memories. Did he show you the house? No. He said it was a surprise, that he wanted to take me and the kids there after the baby was born. Detective Walsh leans forward. Ms. Collins, do you have any proof of this house? Documents, emails? I don't think so. He just told me about it. Walsh and I exchange a look. There's no house. Or if there is, it's not for Amanda. Amanda. I say carefully. I think Vincent is lying to you. About the house, about San Francisco, about everything. What do you mean? I mean, he's been lying to both of us, and I don't think we're the only ones. Detective Walsh steps outside to make a phone call. I stay on the couch with Amanda, the silence between us thick and suffocating. How long have you been married? Amanda asks finally. 5 years. And he never told me. She laughs hollow and broken. God, I'm such an idiot. You're not. He's just very good at this. At what? At making us feel crazy. I look at her. Did he ever tell you that you were imagining things, that you were too emotional? Amanda nods slowly. All the time. Especially when I asked about the wedding. He'd say I was being paranoid, that I didn't trust him. Yeah, he did the same thing to me. We sit in that shared understanding for a moment, two women who loved the same man, who believed the same lies. Detective Walsh comes back inside her face, grim. Rachel, I need you to check something for me. Your bank account. Can you access it online? Yeah, why? Because I think we need to see where your money is going. I pull out my phone and log into our joint account. The page loads slowly. When it does, I feel the floor drop out from under me. Balance $2,847.23. That's not right, I whisper. We had over $300,000 in savings. Walsh takes the phone from my hand and scrolls through the transaction history. Look at this, 47 wire transfers over the last 5 years. All to an account listed under Cascade Holdings, LLC. What's Cascade Holdings? I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out. She hands the phone back. Rachel, your husband has been systematically draining your joint account. The transfers started small, $5,000 here, $10,000 there, but over time they add up. I stare at the screen. $300,000 gone. He was planning to leave, I say numbly. He was going to take everything and disappear. Walsh nods. That's what it looks like. Amanda's face has gone white. Do you think he was going to leave me too? I don't answer. I don't have to. We both already know. As we're leaving, Grace appears in the hallway. She's holding a framed photo, Vincent in a white coat, smiling at the camera. Is my daddy in trouble? She asks, her voice small. I look at this little girl, Vincent's daughter, a child who has no idea what kind of man her father is. And for the first time, I feel something other than anger. I feel pity. I don't know, sweetheart, I say softly. But everything's going to be okay. She nods and disappears back into her room. Outside, I stand on the driveway staring at Vincent's Lexus. Detective Walsh is on the phone again talking to someone about subpoenas and forensic accountants. And I think he was going to leave us both, take the money, start over somewhere else. But with who? 1 week without sleep. 1 week of lying on Natalie's couch, staring at the ceiling, replaying every conversation, every lie, every moment I should have seen the truth. 1 week of waiting for Vincent to show up at the door at the coffee shop at the grocery store. He never does. Detective Walsh says he's gone, disappeared. His car hasn't moved from Amanda's driveway. He's not at the clinic, not at our apartment, not anywhere. which is why I'm standing outside our building now, key in hand, heart hammering. You don't have to do this, Walsh says beside me. She drove me here, insisted on coming inside with me. We can get a warrant, come back with a team. No, I say. I need to do this now, because I know Vincent. He's meticulous. He plans everything. And if he left in a hurry, if he ran, he might have left something behind. The apartment smells stale, like no one's opened a window in days. I flip on the lights. Everything looks the same. The couch where we used to watch movies, the kitchen table where we ate breakfast, the framed photo of us on our wedding day still hanging on the wall. I want to smash it. Where do we start? Walsh asks. His office. Vincent's home office is at the end of the hall, a small room with a desk, a filing cabinet, and a bookshelf crammed with medical textbooks. I've only been in here a handful of times. He always said it was his workspace, that he needed privacy to focus. Now I know why. Walsh pulls on latex gloves and starts going through the filing cabinet. I sit at the desk and open the drawers. Pens, notepads, old insurance forms. Nothing. Then I see it. A laptop. Old silver pushed to the back of the bottom drawer. It's not the one Vincent uses for work. That's a newer MacBook he takes everywhere. This one looks like it's from 2015, maybe earlier. Found something, I say. Walsh comes over. Can you open it? I press the power button. The screen flickers to life. Password prompt. I try his birthday. Incorrect. I try our anniversary. Incorrect. I sit there staring at the blinking cursor. What would Vincent use? What's important to him? And then I remember April 12th, 2017, the day of my surgery. The day he put the IUD inside me. He used to call it the day everything changed. I type 03122017. The screen unlocks. The desktop is almost empty. Just a few folders, work documents, taxes, research notes. I click on research notes. Inside, there are dozens of subfolders, each labeled with a date. I open the most recent one, September 2025. There's only one file inside, a Word document titled Protocol, Long-Term Observation. I open it. The first line makes my stomach turn. Subject R Progress Report, Month 60. Subject continues to exhibit expected stress responses following extended gaslighting protocol. Complaints of chronic pelvic pain have increased in frequency and intensity over the past 6 months, consistent with stage 3 inflammatory progression. Subject has attempted self-diagnosis via internet research, but remains dependent on my medical authority. Notable behavioral changes. Increased isolation from social circle. Natalie Brooks' contact frequency reduced by 40%. Sleep disturbances. Self-reported average 4 to 5 hours per night. Heightened emotional reactivity recorded. Episodes 12 in the past month. IUD remains undetected. Projected timeline 8 to 10 years before discovery via external medical intervention. Subject's trust in my expertise remains intact. Next phase, transition to Subject M San Francisco. Estimated timeline January 2026. Financial assets successfully transferred to Cascade Holdings, LLC. Severance from Subject R. Will proceed as planned. I can't breathe. He wrote about me like I'm a lab rat, like our entire marriage was an experiment. Rachel. Walsh's voice is distant, muffled. What is it? I can't answer. I just scroll down. There are more entries, dozens of them, going back years. Subject R Progress Report, Month 12. Subject's miscarriage response was optimal, grief levels aligned with predictive model, no suspicion of vitamin protocol. Moving forward with IUD implantation during scheduled ovarian surgery. Subject R Progress Report, Month 24. Subject attempted to schedule external gynecological exam. Intervention successful. Subject accepted my explanation without resistance. Subject R Progress Report, Month 48. Subject's dependency on my approval has increased. Emotional volatility remains within acceptable parameters. Recordings archived for future use if necessary. Recordings. I close the document and go back to the folder. There's another file. A .zip archive labeled Audio, Subject R. I extract it. 43 MP3 files, each one timestamped. I click on the most recent one. My own voice fills the room. I don't understand why you won't listen to me. I'm not making this up. The pain is real. Vincent's voice calm and condescending. Rachel, we've been over this. You're stressed. You're catastrophizing. You need to trust me. I do trust you, but do you because it doesn't sound like it? I close the laptop. My hands are shaking so hard I can barely move. Rachel. Walsh's voice is firm now. She crouches beside me. Look at me. I do. Her eyes are steady grounding. He recorded you, she says quietly. For years. Without your knowledge. I nod. I can't speak. That's illegal in some contexts. But more importantly, it's evidence. It proves he was manipulating you. Gaslighting you. This is huge, Rachel. I take a breath. Another. There's more. I open the desk drawer. Behind a stack of old tax returns, I find it a hollowed-out book, The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Inside, there's a USB drive. Walsh takes it, plugs it into the laptop, 2 folders, audio archives, and Phase 2, SF. She opens Phase 2, SF. There's a single document inside, a real estate contract. For a house in San Francisco. Purchase price $1.2 million. Buyer Cascade Holdings, LLC. And a note handwritten scanned into a PDF. M. Everything is ready. House closes December 15th. We leave January 5th. Don't tell anyone. V. Emeka, Walsh says. Subject M. I stare at the screen. He was going to leave us both. Me, Amanda, the kids. He was going to take everything and start over with someone new. Walsh's jaw tightens. We need to find out who M is. As we're leaving, I pause in the doorway of the bedroom. The bed is still unmade. Vincent's side. My side. I used to feel safe here. Now I just feel sick. Rachel, Walsh says gently, let's go. I follow her out, clutching the USB drive like it's a lifeline. Because it is. When the bank teller says, your joint account balance is $2,847, I think she's made a mistake. Maybe she pulled up the wrong account. Maybe the system's glitching. But she's not, and it's not. That's impossible, I say. We have over $300,000 in savings. The teller, Michelle, according to her name tag, gives me a sympathetic look. The kind you give someone when you're about to deliver bad news. Ma'am, I'm showing 47 outgoing wire transfers over the past 5 years. Would you like me to print a statement? I nod numb. Detective Walsh is beside me. She drove me here after I called her this morning, hysterical, demanding to see proof of what Vincent had done. Now standing in the middle of Bank of America's downtown branch, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, I feel like I'm underwater. Michelle hands me a thick stack of papers. I flip through them. Page after page of wire transfers. 5,000 here, 10,000 there, 15,000. All to the same recipient, Cascade Holdings, LLC. Who authorized these, I ask. Michelle clicks through her computer. Dr. Vincent Palmer. He's listed as the primary account holder. I'm on the account too. Yes, ma'am, joint account. Both parties have full access. But I never approved these transfers. Michelle's expression shifts pity mixed with discomfort. I'm sorry, but legally, either account holder can initiate transactions without the other's consent. That's how joint accounts work. Walsh leans forward. Is there a record of who set up the SMS alerts for this account? Michelle types. Yes, alerts are sent to a phone number ending in 4392. That's Vincent's number. Not mine, I whisper. No, ma'am, just his. I sit down in one of the lobby chairs before my legs give out. $340,000. Gone. 5 years of savings. My freelance income. His salary. Everything we were supposed to use to buy a house. Start a family, build a life transferred to a shell company I've never heard of. Walsh sits beside me. Rachel, I need you to stay calm. We're going to fix this. How? My voice cracks. He stole everything. He didn't steal it, he moved it, and we're going to find it. 2 hours later, we're in a law office across town. Walsh called in a favor a forensic financial analyst named David Brennan, who specializes in hidden assets and divorce fraud. Brennan is in his 50s, gray-haired, sharp-eyed. He spreads the bank statements across his desk like a poker hand. Cascade Holdings, LLC. He says, tapping one of the transfers. Registered in Delaware. That's a red flag right there. Delaware's the go-to state for shell companies because of the privacy laws. You can set up an LLC without disclosing the owner's identity. Can you find out who owns it? Walsh asks. I can try, but it's going to take time. Delaware doesn't make it easy. He flips through more pages. What concerns me more is this. He points to a document dated July 15th, 2025. This is a property deed transfer. Your marital home, 680 Riverside Drive, correct? I nod. It was transferred to Cascade Holdings LLC 2 months ago. The room spins. What does that mean? It means your husband transferred ownership of your house to the same shell company he's been funneling money into. And if he did it without your knowledge or consent, he looks at Walsh. That's fraud. But I signed the deed when we bought the house, I say. My name is on it. Was Brennan corrects. Your name was on it. Now it's not. How is that possible? I didn't sign anything. Brennan pulls out another document, a notarized transfer form. At the bottom, there's a signature. My signature. Except I didn't write it. He forged it, I whisper. Walsh's jaw tightens. Or he had you sign something and told you it was something else. I close my eyes, trying to remember. July, 2 months ago. Vincent came home with a stack of papers. He said they were insurance documents. Just sign here, babe. Routine stuff. I signed. I didn't read them. Jesus Christ, I breathe. He tricked me. That's fraud, Brennan says flatly. And depending on how much he's moved, it could be felony-level theft by deception. Walsh writes something in her notepad. Can we reverse the transfer? If we can prove it was done without consent, yes, but we'll need to move fast. If he's planning to liquidate the property or move more assets, he trails off the implication clear. We might not get any of it back. I'm in the parking garage leaning against Walsh's car when my phone rings. Unknown number. I almost don't answer, but something instinct maybe makes me press the green button. Hello, is this Rachel? The voice is female, older, shaky. Rachel Whitmore. Yes, who is this? My name is Catherine Palmer. A pause. I was Vincent's first wife. I freeze. I saw the news, she continues, about the investigation, the IUD, the things he did to you. Her voice breaks. I'm so sorry. I should have warned you. How did you get my number? I called the police. Detective Walsh gave it to me. She said you might need to hear from someone who's been through this before. My heart is pounding. What do you mean, been through this? Catherine takes a shaky breath. Vincent did the same thing to me. Not the IUD, but the lies, the gaslighting, the money. Another pause. When we divorced, I found out he'd transferred almost everything we owned to an offshore account. I got nothing. He told everyone I was unstable, that I was imagining things. I can't speak. Rachel, she says, her voice firmer now. I need you to understand something. Vincent doesn't just lie. He destroys people, and he's very, very good at it. If you're going after him, you need to be prepared, because he's going to fight back. I don't care, I say. I'm not backing down. Good. There's something like pride in her voice. Then I'll help you. I kept records, emails, financial statements, everything I could find before he cleaned me out. If you want them, they're yours. I close my eyes. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, Catherine says quietly. Just promise me you'll be careful. Vincent is dangerous, more dangerous than you think. She hangs up. I stand there in the parking garage, phone in hand, staring at nothing. Detective Walsh comes out of the building. Rachel, you okay? I look at her. That was Vincent's ex-wife. She wants to help. Walsh's eyebrows rise. Catherine Palmer. You gave her my number. I thought you should talk to her. She knows him better than anyone. Walsh studies my face. What did she say? That he did this before. That he's dangerous. I take a breath. And that she has evidence. Walsh nods slowly. Then we need to meet her. Soon. Catherine Palmer doesn't look the way I imagined. She's 48, but her eyes make her seem older. Pale blue, tired, the kind that have cried too many tears. Her hair is silver gray, cut short and neat, and she's wearing a cardigan that looks like it's been washed 100 times. When she shakes my hand across the table at the coffee shop, her grip is firm, steady. "Thank you for meeting me," she says. "Thank you for calling." I glance at Detective Walsh, who's sitting beside me, notepad already out. "I don't know what Vincent told you about me, but—" "He didn't tell me anything," Catherine interrupts. "I saw the news. Portland Tribune ran a piece about the investigation 2 days ago. Local doctor accused of medical assault. Your name wasn't in the article, but I knew it was him." I swallow hard. "You were married to him?" "For 8 years. 2008 to 2016. She takes a sip of her coffee, black, no sugar. Her hands are shaking slightly. "I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with him. I thought he loved me." "What happened?" Walsh asks gently. Catherine sets the cup down. "He told me I was infertile, that we'd been trying for 3 years and it was my fault. He said my ovaries weren't producing viable eggs, that I had, what did he call it, premature ovarian failure. He was so kind about it, so understanding. He said we'd look into adoption, that it didn't matter to him whether we had biological children or not." I feel my chest tighten. "But you're not infertile." "No." Catherine's smile is bitter. "I have 2 kids now, 7 and 5, both conceived naturally with my second husband. So Vincent lied. He did more than lie." Catherine reaches into her purse and pulls out a worn manila folder. "He controlled everything, our finances, my medical appointments, who I saw where I went. He said it was because he loved me, because he wanted to take care of me." She opens the folder and slides a stack of papers across the table. "But really, he just wanted to own me." I flip through the documents, bank statements, emails, text message printouts, all dated between 2010 and 2016. One email dated March 2013 catches my eye. From Vincent Palmer to Catherine Palmer. Subject, appointment reminder. "Kath, don't forget your appointment with Dr. Rosen tomorrow at 10 a.m. I've already updated him on your symptoms. Don't try to self-diagnose again. You know how you get when you read too much online. Let the professionals handle it." V. "Who's Dr. Rosen?" I ask. "Vincent's colleague, another OB-GYN. Catherine's voice is flat. "Vincent scheduled all my appointments with him. I wasn't allowed to see anyone else, and every-time doctor. Rosen would tell me the same thing, my hormone levels were abnormal, that I needed to accept the reality of my infertility. Did you ever get a second opinion?" "Once, in 2015. I went to a clinic across town without telling Vincent. They ran tests. Everything came back normal." She pauses. "When I told Vincent, he said I was being paranoid, that I didn't trust him. He made me feel so guilty that I didn't go back." Walsh writes something down. "What happened after the divorce?" "I met someone new, a teacher, kind, normal. We got married in 2017. A year later, I got pregnant." Catherine's eyes fill with tears. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was a miracle. But it wasn't a miracle. It was just proof. Proof that Vincent had been lying to me for years. "Did you ever confront him?" Catherine nods. "I called him, told him I was pregnant, asked him how that was possible if I was infertile." She wipes her eyes. "He said I must have misunderstood my diagnosis, that he never said I couldn't have children, that I was rewriting history." Gaslighting. The word echoes in my head. "Why didn't you report him?" Walsh asks. Catherine looks down at her hands. "Because he had leverage. Videos of us, private videos. He said if I ever tried to destroy his reputation, he'd make sure everyone saw them." Her voice cracks. I was humiliated, terrified. I just wanted to move on. I reach across the table and take her hand. "I'm so sorry." "Don't be. You're the one going through this now." She squeezes my hand. "But Rachel, you need to understand something. Vincent doesn't just lie. He documents everything. He keeps records, notes. I think he sees it as proof of how smart he is, how much control he has." Walsh leans forward. "Do you know where he keeps these records?" "I don't know for sure. But when we were married, he had a journal, a leather-bound notebook. He used to write in it late at night. I asked him once what he was writing, and he said it was case notes, medical stuff. But I don't think that's what it was." "What do you think it was?" Catherine looks at me. "I think it was us, his wives, his experiments. I think he was documenting what he did to us. We moved from the coffee shop to Catherine's apartment in Northwest Portland. Its small, cozy bookshelves lining the walls, kids' drawings on the fridge, family photos on the mantel. A normal life, the kind I thought I had. Catherine pulls a cardboard box out of her closet. This is everything I kept. I don't know if it'll help, but she opens the box. Inside are more emails printed and highlighted, financial statements, therapy notes from 2016, and at the bottom, a single piece of paper, handwritten, torn at the edges. I pick it up. The handwriting is unmistakable. Vincent's. March 15th, 2016. Catherine divorced me because she couldn't have children. She blames me, but it's not my fault she's broken. Next time I'll do better. I'll choose someone younger, someone more manageable. Note to self-control the narrative. Control the finances. Never let them see the full picture. I read it twice, 3 times. My hands are shaking. Where did you find this? I whisper. In his desk drawer, the day I moved out. He'd left it there like he didn't care if I saw it, or maybe he wanted me to see it. Catherine's voice is hard. That's when I realized I was never a person to him. I was a project. Walsh photographs the note. Ms. Palmer, this is evidence. I'm going to need to take this. Take all of it, Catherine says. I don't want it anymore. As we're leaving, Catherine stops me at the door. Rachel, she says, her voice low, if you're going after him, you need to find that journal. He still has it, I'm sure of it. And if he's writing about you the way he wrote about me... She trails off. Where do you think it is? I don't know, but Vincent is meticulous. He wouldn't throw it away. It's too valuable to him. She grips my arm. Find it. And when you do, make sure the whole world sees what kind of man he really is. I nod. I will. Outside, Walsh and I stand on the sidewalk. The sun is setting, casting long shadows across the street. She's right, I say. Vincent has a journal. He's been writing about me, about all of us. Walsh nods slowly. Then we need to find it, fast. Detective Walsh got the warrant. 2 days of paperwork, affidavits, depositions from Catherine and Amanda, bank records, digital forensics, all of it stacked into a single document that a judge signed at 8 o'clock this morning. By 9, we're standing outside Pacific Women's Health Clinic. You don't have to come in, Walsh tells me. You can wait in the car. No, I say, I need to see this. For the first time in 5 years, I'm about to walk into the place where my husband works, the place he spent more time than he ever spent with me. The receptionist, Jessica, the same woman from before, looks up when we enter. Her eyes widen when she sees the warrant in Walsh's hand. We're here to search Dr. Palmer's office, Walsh says. Where is it? Jessica stammers. 2nd floor, end of the hall. But Dr. Palmer isn't. We know he's not here. Walsh's tone is clipped. Open it. Jessica fumbles with a key ring and leads us upstairs. The hallway is sterile, fluorescent lit, lined with exam rooms. At the end, there's a door with a nameplate, Dr. Vincent R. Palmer, M.D. Walsh pulls on latex gloves. I stand in the doorway watching. The office is exactly what I expected. Neat, organized. A mahogany desk, a leather chair, shelves lined with medical textbooks, diplomas on the wall. A framed photo of Vincent shaking hands with some hospital administrator. No photos of me. Walsh starts with the desk. Drawers, files, computer. I move toward the bookshelf. Gray's Anatomy, Williams Obstetrics, the Merck Manual. All the books look untouched like decorations. And then I see it. Behind a row of thick textbooks on the bottom shelf, there's a gap. I pull the books forward. Behind them, set into the wall, are 2 small safes, each about the size of a shoebox. Walsh, I say. She comes over. Well. The safes have keypads, no keys, just numbers. Password, Walsh asks. I think for a moment. Then I type 03122017. The first safe clicks open. Inside, there are 3 leather-bound notebooks, the kind you'd buy at a fancy stationery store. Each one is labeled with a date range, 2013 to 2016, 2017 to 2021, 2021 to 2025. Walsh pulls them out carefully, setting them on the desk. She opens the first one. The handwriting is Vincent's, neat, meticulous, almost printed. March 15th, 2013. Catherine has divorced me. She believes she is infertile because I told her so. In truth, her reproductive system is perfectly functional. I simply withheld this information. She will remarry. She will have children, and she will spend the rest of her life wondering why I lied. Note, next time I will do better. I will choose someone younger, someone easier to control. I feel sick. Walsh flips through more pages, entry after entry, clinical, cold, documenting every manipulation, every lie. August 6th, 2015. R is pregnant. Week 8. I have researched the vitamin C plus Dong Quai protocol. Success rate 60 to 70% at weeks 6 to 10. Risk of detection, minimal. ER staff will assume natural miscarriage. R. Trust me completely. Jesus, Walsh whispers. October 6, 2015. Prepared capsules. Vitamin C 1,500 milligrams, Dong Quai extract 800 milligrams, parsley oil 500 milligrams. Told R these are prenatal vitamins. She did not question it. June 25, 2015. R miscarried. ER doctor confirmed spontaneous abortion. R is devastated. I comforted her. She suspects nothing. I can't read anymore. I turn away, pressing my hand against my mouth. Rachel. Walsh says gently, I know this is hard, but we need to keep going. I nod, blinking back tears. She flips to another entry. June 30th, 2015. Long-term plan IUD implantation during ovarian cyst surgery. R will not consent if asked directly. Therefore, consent will not be sought. Projected timeline 8 to 10 years before discovery. April 12th, 2017. Seraphy IUD, serial N, 479. 2B successfully implanted during laparoscopic procedure. Pathology report fabricated 1.2 centimeter follicle, reported as 4.5 centimeter cyst. R unaware. Post-op recovery, normal. Walsh photographs every page. The second safe contains 8 small capsules, yellow unmarked, and a USB drive. Walsh bags them as evidence. We'll send these to the lab, she says, but I'm guessing they'll match the formula in the journal. She opens the third notebook, the most recent one. September 20th, 2024. M. Melissa has agreed to relocate to San Francisco. Cascade Holdings, LLC, is prepared. House closes December 15th. Departure January 5th, 2026. R remains unaware of financial transfers. IUD remains undetected. Severance plan proceeding as scheduled. And then the final entry, October 1st, 2024. If R discovers the IUD, I will use the audio recordings to prove she is mentally unstable. I have documented her emotional volatility extensively. The court will side with me. It always does. Walsh reads it out loud. Her voice is steady, but I can hear the anger underneath. He thought he was untouchable, she says. I stare at the notebooks. 3 leather-bound volumes. 11 years of Vincent's life. 11 years of calculated cruelty written down like lab notes. He's a psychopath, I whisper. He's a criminal, Walsh corrects. And now we can prove it. What happened in 2015 wasn't an accident. Before I show you the proof, drop 2015 in the comments if you're ready for the truth. And remember, parts of this story are fictionalized for storytelling. Feel free to stop watching if it's not for you. I'm sitting across from District Attorney Sarah Whitman and forensic pathologist Dr. Margaret Lewis. My hands clench so tight they've gone numb. The DA's office is sterile white walls, fluorescent lights, a conference table covered in folders. One is labeled Evidence, Palmer Case. Another has my name on it. Rachel. DA Whitman says, Dr. Lewis needs to walk you through her findings. Are you ready? I nod. Dr. Lewis is in her 50s, gray-haired, wearing rimless glasses. She slides a lab report across the table. Ms. Whitmore, the capsules recovered from Dr. Palmer's office were analyzed by the Oregon State Crime Lab. They contained 1,500 milligrams of vitamin C, 800 milligrams of Dong Quai extract, and 500 milligrams of parsley oil. Those are just vitamins, I say, herbs. In combination at these dosages, they act as an abortifacient, an agent that induces miscarriage. The word hits me like a slap. High-dose vitamin C increases estrogen. Dr. Lewis continues, Dong Quai and parsley oil stimulate uterine contractions. Together, they terminate early pregnancy. Success rate 60 to 70% when administered for 2 weeks. 60 to 70%. Vincent wrote that in his journal. According to your medical records, she says you miscarried June 25, 2015 at 9 weeks. Do you remember when you started taking the capsules? I close my eyes. June 2015. Vincent came home with a pill bottle. Your prenatal vitamins, babe. Take them 3 times a day. I took one right there, swallowed it with water. Thanked him. He gave them to me, I whisper. Around June 10th, 14 days before the miscarriage, Dr. Lewis says. Based on the timeline and chemical composition, your miscarriage was not natural. It was induced, deliberately. The room spins. He killed my baby. He caused you to miscarry. Dr. Lewis corrects gently. That's the terminology we'll use in court. D.A. Whitman leans forward. Rachel, Dr. Palmer didn't just implant an IUD without consent. He ended your pregnancy using a method designed to look natural. That's assault. That's criminal mistreatment. And potentially attempted murder. The capsules could have caused hemorrhaging sepsis organ failure. You could have died. I stare at her. I'd never thought about that. I only remembered the pain. The blood. Vincent holding my hand in the ER telling me it wasn't my fault. It was him. Why didn't the ER doctor figure it out, I ask. Because miscarriages are common, Dr. Lewis says. 10 to 20% of pregnancies. The ER ran standard blood work. They don't test for herbal supplements. You came in with symptoms consistent with spontaneous abortion. Your partner was a licensed OB/GYN. There were no red flags. He planned it that way. Yes, D.A. Whitman says. He did. Silence, the hum of ventilation, phones ringing in the hallway. Rachel, D.A. Whitman says, do you remember Vincent giving you those capsules? Physically handing them to you. I picture it. Our apartment. Vincent in the kitchen smiling, holding the bottle. Make sure you take them 3 times a day, okay? They're important. I remember, I say. He watched me take the first one. D.A. Whitman nods. Good. That establishes he personally administered the substance. What happens now? We build the case. We have the journals, the capsules, your testimony, Catherine Palmer's testimony about his pattern, Amanda Collins and the financial fraud, the IUD and fabricated records. She ticks them off. This is one of the most well-documented abuse cases I've seen. So you can convict him. I believe we can. But Rachel... She pauses. You need to prepare yourself. Vincent Palmer is a respected doctor. He has money. He'll hire the best defense attorney in the state. And they're gonna come after you. What do you mean? They'll try to discredit you. Say you're lying, emotionally unstable, fabricating evidence because you're angry about a divorce. They'll play those recordings, the ones where you're crying desperate. They'll tell the jury you're not reliable. My stomach turns. But the journals are powerful. But the defense will argue they're fiction, creative writing, that Vincent was writing a novel not documenting crimes. That's insane. That's defense strategy. I'm telling you this because I don't want you blindsided. The trial will be brutal. You'll sit in that courtroom and listen to his lawyers call you a liar. You'll relive every moment of abuse in front of a jury, and you'll have to do it without breaking down. I can do it. I know. She looks at me with something like respect. But if it becomes too much, you tell me. We'll take a recess, get you support. You're not alone. Outside, I lean against the brick wall, trying to breathe. Detective Walsh is beside me, steady, silent. He killed my baby, I say. I know. And then he comforted me, told me it wasn't my fault. I know. How does someone do that? Walsh doesn't answer. There is no answer. She pulls out her phone. I'm calling Dr. Harper, your therapist. I'm fine. Rachel, you just found out your husband induced a miscarriage 10 years ago. You're not fine. She's right. I'm not fine. I'm nowhere close to fine. But I'm not going to fall apart. Not now. Not when we're this close. Make the call, I say. Walsh nods and steps away. I close my eyes and think about June 25th, 2015. The worst night of my life. Or so I thought. Now I know the truth. It wasn't the worst night. It was just the first For the first time in 6 weeks, I see Vincent. He's standing at the defense table in Multnomah County Courthouse, wearing a charcoal gray suit, crisp white shirt, navy tie. His hair is neatly combed, his jaw is clean-shaven. He looks like a respectable doctor, a pillar of the community, someone you'd trust with your life, not the man who destroyed mine. I sit in the gallery beside Detective Walsh. My hands are folded in my lap nails, digging into my palms. I want to scream, I want to run, but I sit perfectly still and stare at the back of his head. He doesn't turn around, not once. All rise, the bailiff calls, the Honorable Judge Margaret Sullivan presiding. Judge Sullivan is in her late 50s, silver hair pulled into a tight bun, black robe, crisp and authoritative. She takes her seat at the bench and surveys the courtroom with sharp eyes. "Be seated." She looks down at the file in front of her. State of Oregon versus Dr. Vincent Richard Palmer. Case number 2025-CR-08471. This is an arraignment hearing. Is the defendant present? Vincent's lawyer, a tall man in an expensive suit, late 40s with slicked back hair, stands. "Yes, Your Honor. Thomas Harrington for the defense." And the state? District Attorney Sarah Whitman rises. "Sarah Whitman for the State of Oregon, Your Honor." Judge Sullivan nods. "Let the record show the defendant is present with counsel. Ms. Whitman, please read the charges." DA Whitman opens a folder. Her voice is steady, clinical. The State of Oregon charges Dr. Vincent Richard Palmer with the following. Count 1 assault in the first-degree Oregon Revised Statute 163.185. That, on or about April 12, 2017 and June 10, 2015, the defendant did intentionally cause serious physical injury to Rachel Whitmore, including but not limited to induced miscarriage and uterine damage resulting from unlawful implantation of a medical device. Maximum penalty 20 years imprisonment. Count 2. Criminal mistreatment in the first degree ORS 163.205. That the defendant did withhold necessary medical care and engage in conduct that created substantial risk of death or serious physical injury. Maximum penalty 5 years imprisonment. Count 3 unlawful medical procedure ORS 677.190. That the defendant did perform surgical procedures without informed consent and for purposes other than medically necessary treatment. Maximum penalty 10 years imprisonment. Count 4, fraudulent use of medical records, ORS 165.540. That the defendant did falsify patient medical records, including pathology reports and consent forms. Maximum penalty 5 years imprisonment. Count 5 theft in the first degree, ORS 164.055, that the defendant did unlawfully obtain and transfer property valued at more than $100,000 without consent. Maximum penalty 10 years imprisonment. Count 6, reckless endangerment, ORS 163.195, that the defendant did recklessly engage in conduct which created substantial risk of serious physical injury to another person. Maximum penalty 5 years imprisonment. Total maximum consecutive sentence 55 years imprisonment. The courtroom is silent. Judge Sullivan looks at Vincent. "Dr. Palmer, you have heard the charges. How do you plead?" Vincent stands. His voice is calm, steady, like he's discussing a patient's lab results. "Not guilty, Your Honor, on all counts." I feel something crack inside me. Thomas Harrington steps forward. "Your Honor, the defense moves to dismiss counts 1, 2, and 6 on the grounds of insufficient evidence. The so-called journals presented by the prosecution are hearsay and inadmissible. They constitute creative writing, personal reflections with no evidentiary value. My client is a doctor. He takes notes. He writes. None of this proves criminal intent." D. A. Whitman stands. "Your Honor, the journals are admissible under Federal Rule of Evidence 800, 1D, 2. The party admission exception. These are not third-party statements, they are Dr. Palmer's own words written in his hand, corroborated by physical evidence, including the capsules recovered from his office, which match the formulas documented in the journals, and the IUD with serial number N4792B, which corresponds to the disposal log signed by Dr. Palmer on April 12, 2017. We also have expert testimony confirming the handwriting is his. This is not hearsay, this is a confession. Harrington's jaw tightens. Your Honor, even if the journals are admitted, they do not prove that Dr. Palmer administered any substance to Ms. Whitmore. They do not prove he implanted an IUD without consent. At best, they suggest hypothetical scenarios. They detail specific dates, substances, and outcomes. D.A. Whitman interrupts, including the exact date of Ms. Whitmore's miscarriage and the exact serial number of the IUD removed from her body. That's not hypothetical. That's documentary evidence of premeditated assault. Judge Sullivan raises a hand. Enough. The motion to dismiss is denied. The journals combined with physical evidence and expert corroboration are admissible. The jury will determine their weight. She looks at Harrington. Anything else, Mr. Harrington? Yes, Your Honor, we request bail. Dr. Palmer is a respected physician with deep ties to the community. He has no prior criminal record. He is not a flight risk. D.A. Whitman stands again. Your Honor, the defendant has already demonstrated flight risk. He was unaccounted for 6 weeks following the initial investigation. He transferred over $300,000 to offshore accounts. He has documented plans to relocate to San Francisco. We request he be held without bail. Judge Sullivan considers. Bail is set at $1 million, cash or bond. Dr. Palmer will surrender his passport and submit to GPS monitoring if released. Trial date is set for December 1st, 2025. Next hearing, November 20th for pretrial motions. She bangs the gavel. As the bailiff leads Vincent away, he finally turns. His eyes find mine across the courtroom. He doesn't look angry. He doesn't look afraid. He looks bored. Like this is all just an inconvenience, a minor delay in his schedule. I stare back at him, and I think, you're not getting away with this. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarm. Cameras flash. Microphones thrust forward. Ms. Whitmore, how do you feel about the charges? Do you believe Dr. Palmer will be convicted? What do you say to people who claim you're fabricating evidence? Detective Walsh steers me past them, her hand firm on my elbow. But I hear it, Thomas Harrington's voice smooth and practiced, just loud enough to carry. My client is innocent. Miss Whitmore is a woman scorned, suffering from severe emotional distress. We have evidence recordings, testimonies proving she is mentally unstable. The truth will come out at trial. I freeze. Walsh pulls me forward. Don't listen, keep walking. But the words echo in my head. Mentally unstable. He's going to use the recordings, the ones where I'm crying, where I sound desperate. He's going to make me the villain. The courtroom is colder than I expected, or maybe it's just my body going numb every time I hear Vincent's voice. He sits at the defense table, Thomas Harrington beside him, both of them in dark suits looking calm, composed. Like this is just another day at work. I sit behind D.A. Whitman, hands folded in my lap, trying to breathe. All rise. Judge Sullivan enters. We sit. The jury files in 12 faces I've studied for days. 7 women, 5 men. Ages ranging from mid-20s to late 60s. I wonder which ones believe me. Which ones think I'm lying? Ms. Whitman. Judge Sullivan says, your opening statement. D.A. Whitman stands. She walks to the center of the courtroom facing the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a case about control. About a man who used his medical expertise, his authority, and his marriage to systematically destroy the woman he claimed to love. Over the course of 12 years, Dr. Vincent Palmer manipulated 2 women, Catherine Palmer and Rachel Whitmore. He lied to them. He drugged them. He stole from them. And he documented every moment in handwritten journals as if his crimes were scientific experiments. She gestures to the evidence table, journals, capsules, the IUD disposal log. You will hear testimony from Dr. James Mitchell, who discovered an IUD embedded in Ms. Whitmore's uterine wall, a device she never consented to. You will see the disposal log signed by Dr. Palmer on April 12, 2017, the same day as Ms. Whitmore's surgery. You will read his own words, IUD successfully implanted, are unaware. and you will hear from forensic experts who will confirm that Dr. Palmer induced Ms. Whitmore's miscarriage in 2015 using a combination of herbal supplements designed to look like prenatal vitamins. Oath. She pauses, letting it sink in. The defense will try to tell you this is a story about a woman scorned, that Ms. Whitmore is unstable, emotional, unreliable. But the evidence doesn't lie. The journals don't lie. And by the end of this trial, you will see Dr. Vincent Palmer for what he truly is, a predator in a white coat. She sits. Harrington stands, slow, deliberate. Ladies and gentlemen, my client is a doctor, a healer, a man who has dedicated his life to women's health. And now he sits accused of crimes he did not commit based on the word of a woman who has every reason to lie. He looks at me. Rachel Whitmore is not a victim. She is a woman who, after discovering her husband's affair, fabricated a story to destroy him. You will hear recordings, 40 hours of them, of Miss C. Whitmore crying, screaming, accusing my client of things that never happened. You will hear testimony from her own friends that she was emotionally volatile, prone to exaggeration. And you will see that the so-called journals are nothing more than creative writing, a doctor's private reflections, not a criminal confession. He sits. Judge Sullivan nods. Ms. Whitman, call your first witness. The state calls Dr. James Mitchell. Dr. Mitchell takes the stand. He looks professional, calm. He describes the ultrasound, the IUD, the inflammation, the CRP level of 85 milligrams per liter. And did Ms. Whitmore have any record of consenting to an IUD placement? D.A. Whitman asks. No, there was no documentation in her file. Did you report this to the authorities? Yes, immediately. Harrington stands for cross-examination. Dr. Mitchell, you testified that there was no documentation, but isn't it possible that Ms. Whitmore simply forgot, that she consented years ago and doesn't remember? No, an IUD placement is a significant procedure. Patients remember, but you didn't perform the original surgery. You didn't witness what happened in 2017. You're speculating. I'm testifying to what I found in embedded IUD and no consent forms. Harrington smiles thinly. No further questions. D.A. Whitman calls Dr. Linda Harper next, my therapist. Dr. Harper, you've been treating Ms. Whitmore for how long? 3 months, since September 2025. And in your professional opinion, does Ms. Whitmore suffer from any mental illness that would cause her to fabricate these allegations? No, Ms. Whitmore has PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, resulting from years of psychological abuse. She was gaslighted, manipulated, but she is not delusional. She is not fabricating. Harrington stands. Dr. Harper, you've only known Ms. Whitmore for 3 months. Isn't it possible she's been lying to you? It's possible anyone could lie. But her symptoms, hypervigilance flashbacks, emotional dysregulation are consistent with trauma, not deception. But you didn't witness the alleged abuse. You're relying entirely on her word. I'm relying on clinical assessment, and the evidence supports her account. No further questions. Then Harrington calls his witness, Natalie Brooks. My stomach drops. Natalie takes the stand. She won't look at me. Ms. Brooks. Harrington says, you've known Ms. Whitmore for how long? 10 years. We were college roommates. And would you describe her as emotionally stable? Natalie hesitates. Rachel's been through a lot. She's always been anxious, especially in the last few years. Did she ever cry frequently? Seem paranoid? She was stressed. Her marriage was difficult, but yes or no, Ms. Brooks. Did she cry frequently? Yes. Did she ever accuse people of things that weren't true? I don't. Yes or no? Natalie looks at me, eyes pleading. Sometimes she misunderstood things, but she wasn't lying. No further questions. I want to scream. Natalie wasn't trying to hurt me, but Harrington twisted her words. D.A. Whitman calls Dr. Margaret Lewis, forensic pathologist. Dr. Lewis, you analyzed the capsules recovered from Dr. Palmer's office. What did you find? Vitamin C, 1,500 milligrams. Dong Quai extract, 800 milligrams. Parsley oil, 500 milligrams. In combination, these substances induce uterine contractions and miscarriage. And Ms. Whitmore's miscarriage on June 25, 2015, could it have been caused by these capsules? Yes, the timeline matches. She took them for 14 days, miscarried at 9 weeks. That's consistent with the protocol documented in Dr. Palmer's journal. Harrington cross-examines. Dr. Lewis, isn't it true that miscarriages occur naturally in 10 to 20% of pregnancies? Yes. So Ms. Whitmore's miscarriage could have been natural. It could have been. But the presence of these specific substances, the documented timeline, and Dr. Palmer's own written admission make that unlikely. At the end of the day, D.A. Whitman stands. Your Honor, tomorrow the state will call a special witness, Catherine Palmer, Dr. Palmer's first wife. She will testify that the defendant engaged in the same pattern of behavior 12 years ago. That this is not an isolated incident. This is who he is. Harrington objects. Your Honor, Ms. Palmer's testimony is prejudicial and irrelevant. Judge Sullivan overrules. Pattern of behavior is relevant. The witness will testify. Outside the courtroom, I lean against the wall. Natalie is there, crying. Rachel, I'm so sorry. He twisted everything I said. I didn't mean... I know, I say quietly. It's not your fault, but I feel hollow. Watching my friend be used against me. Detective Walsh touches my shoulder. Tomorrow, Catherine testifies. The jury will see the pattern. Hang in there. I nod. But all I can think about is Vincent's face. Calm, smug, like he's already won. Catherine Palmer walks to the witness stand, her hands clutching a damp tissue. She's wearing a navy dress, her silver gray hair pinned back. She looks small, fragile. But when she sits down and faces the courtroom, her voice is steady. D.A. Whitman approaches. Ms. Palmer, please state your relationship to the defendant. I was his wife, from 2008 to 2016. And during those 8 years, did Dr. Palmer ever discuss having children with you? Yes, constantly. He said he wanted a family, that it was important to him. Catherine's voice cracks, but he also told me I was infertile, that my ovaries weren't functioning properly, that I would never be able to have children. Did you seek a second opinion? Once, in 2015, I went to a clinic without telling him. They ran tests. Everything came back normal. She pauses. When I told Vincent, he said I was being paranoid, that I didn't trust him. He made me feel so guilty I never went back. And after your divorce, did you remarry? Yes, in 2017. Do you have children? Catherine nods. 2, a son 7, a daughter 5. A murmur runs through the courtroom. So Dr. Palmer lied to you about your fertility? Yes. D.A. Whitman walks to the evidence table. Ms. Palmer, during your marriage, did Dr. Palmer control your finances? Yes. He said it was easier if he managed everything. I had an allowance $200 a week for groceries and personal expenses. I couldn't access our joint account without his permission. Did he isolate you from friends and family? Yes. He said they were negative influences, that they didn't understand our relationship. Over time, I stopped seeing them. And after the divorce, did Dr. Palmer threaten you? Catherine's hands tighten around the tissue. Yes, he had videos of us, private videos. He said if I ever tried to ruin his reputation, he'd release them. That's why you stayed silent for 9 years. Yes. D.A. Whitman turns to the jury. Ms. Palmer, do you see any similarities between what Dr. Palmer did to you and what he's accused of doing to Rachel Whitmore? Catherine looks at me. Her eyes are full of something like sorrow and recognition. Yes, Vincent has a system. He chooses women who are trusting, who want to believe in him. He isolates them, controls them, and when they start to question him, he makes them think they're crazy. She looks at Vincent. He destroys people. It's what he does. Harrington shoots to his feet. Objection, Your Honor. This testimony is hearsay and highly prejudicial. Ms. Palmer is speculating about my client's character based on her own failed marriage. Judge Sullivan doesn't hesitate. Overruled. Pattern of behavior is relevant to establishing intent. The witness may continue. D.A. Whitman pulls out a large poster board. It's a comparison chart, 2 columns side by side. Catherine Palmer, 2008 to 2016, and Rachel Whitmore, 2020 to 2025. She sets it on an easel in front of the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, here are the parallels. Infertility lie. Both women were told they couldn't have children. Financial control. Both had limited access to money. Isolation from support networks. Both were discouraged from seeing friends and family. Gaslighting language. Both were told they were paranoid, anxious, imagining things. Fabricated medical records. Both had procedures justified by exaggerated or false diagnoses. Threats using private recordings. Both were threatened with exposure if they spoke out. Shell companies. Both had marital assets transferred to offshore or hidden accounts. Pattern of lying about relationships. Vincent told Amanda Collins he was single. He told Melissa he was divorced. Systematic documentation. Vincent kept detailed journals about both women. Psychological abuse. Both developed PTSD symptoms. Medical manipulation. Both were given substances or procedures without informed consent. Exit strategy. Both were planned to be abandoned once Vincent secured a new partner. She pauses. 12 out of 15 documented behaviors are identical. This is not coincidence. This is a predator with a methodology. D.A. Whitman calls Dr. Michael Porter next. Dr. Porter, you performed the surgery to remove the IUD from Miss Whitmore in September 2025. Correct? Yes. And you also reviewed the pathology report from her original surgery in 2017. I did. What did it say? The report stated that Ms. Whitmore had a 4.5 centimeter ovarian cyst that required surgical removal. But what did you actually find? Dr. Porter looks at the jury. When I examined the tissue during the 2025 surgery, I reviewed archived imaging from 2017. The so-called cyst was actually a 1.2 centimeter follicle, a normal part of ovarian function. It did not require surgery. So Dr. Palmer fabricated the diagnosis. Yes, Harrington cross-examines. Dr. Porter, isn't it possible that the imaging was misread, that there was a legitimate medical reason for the surgery? No. The imaging is clear. A 1.2 centimeter follicle is not a cyst. It's normal. There was no medical justification for surgery. But you weren't there in 2017. You're speculating. I'm reading the medical records. The evidence doesn't lie. And then Vincent snaps. He stands abruptly, knocking his chair back. His face is red. His voice is loud, sharp, echoing through the courtroom. Enough. All of you are lying. Catherine is lying. Rachel is lying. This is a witch hunt. Judge Sullivan bangs her gavel. Dr. Palmer, sit down. I am not going to sit here and listen to. Sit down, Dr. Palmer, or I will hold you in contempt of court. Harrington grabs Vincent's arm, pulling him back into his seat. Vincent's chest is heaving. His composure, the calm, controlled mask he's worn for weeks, has cracked. The jury is staring. Some look shocked, some look afraid, and some look like they've just seen exactly what kind of man Vincent Palmer is. Dia Whitman waits until the room is silent again. Then she walks to the evidence table and picks up a manila folder. Your Honor, the state has one final piece of evidence. An email sent by Dr. Palmer on August 10th, 2025 to his colleague, Dr. Jonathan Brooks. She opens the folder, pulls out a printout. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is the smoking gun. This is Dr. Vincent Palmer's own words, his confession. She holds it up. Tomorrow we will read this email in full, and you will see beyond any doubt that Dr. Palmer knew exactly what he was doing, that he planned it, documented it, and bragged about it. The screen lights up. The first line makes my throat close. D.A. Whitman stands in front of the projector, the email magnified on the white wall behind her. Every word is visible to the jury, to the judge, to me, to Vincent. Ladies and gentlemen, she says, this email was sent on August 10th, 2025 from Dr. Vincent Palmer's work account to Dr. Jonathan Brooks, a former colleague. Doctor, Brooks provided this email to law enforcement after reading about the investigation. He was disturbed by what he read. As you'll see, he had good reason to be. She clicks the remote. The email fills the screen. from vincent.palmer.md@pacificwomenshealth.org to dr.jonathan.brooks@gmail.com. Date August 10th, 2025, 9:47 p.m. Subject: I need advice. John. I'm in deep trouble. Rachel's been complaining about pelvic pain for months. I've kept her away from other doctors, but she's suspicious. You remember that Seraph IUD I placed in 2017? It's still there. If another doctor finds it, I'm screwed. You asked why I did it, why I didn't just let her get pregnant. Here's why. Money. Rachel makes $60,000 freelancing. Combined with my salary, we saved $340,000 in 5 years. If she got pregnant, she'd quit working. I'd lose that income. Plus, kids are expensive. I'd be broke. Control. A kid means legal ties. Forever. Child support custody, her family involved. I wanted to walk away clean when I was ready. The 2015 miscarriage not natural. I used the vitamin C plus Dong Quai protocol you joked about. ER called it spontaneous abortion. Rachel blamed herself for years. Perfect. Amanda, the clinic nurse, and I have 2 kids. Grace is 6, Lucas is 4. Yeah, hypocrite. But Amanda never asked questions. Rachel Googles everything, questions everything. She became a liability. Now I'm done with both. Met Melissa, a pharmacist in SF. She's 32. No kids, thinks I'm divorced. Clean slate. I've transferred $340,000 to Cascade Holdings. By January, I'm gone. Rachel gets nothing. Amanda loses her $7,200 per month. They'll figure it out. But if Rachel sees another doctor and finds the IUD, they'll trace the serial number to me. What do? Silence. I can't breathe. I stare at the words. Money, control. Rachel blamed herself for years. Perfect. He wrote it. He admitted everything. D.A. Whitman lets the silence stretch. Then she turns to the jury. You just read Dr. Palmer's confession. He admits placing an IUD without consent. He admits inducing a miscarriage. He admits stealing $340,000, and he explains exactly why he did it. She pauses. Money. He wanted Rachel's income $60,000 a year. He wanted their joint savings, and he didn't want a child because children are expensive. She points to the screen. Control. He wanted the freedom to abandon Rachel whenever he chose. No legal ties, no custody battles. Just walk away clean. Another pause. And cruelty. He says Rachel blamed herself for the miscarriage for years, and he calls that. She looks at the screen. Perfect. The jury looks horrified. D.A. Whitman continues. Dr. Palmer had 2 children with Amanda Collins. He was capable of being a father, but only when it served him, only when the woman was, in his words, easy, someone who never asked questions. She walks toward the jury box. Rachel Whitmore wasn't easy. She asked questions. She Googled her symptoms. She wanted a second opinion, so Dr. Palmer made sure she could never have children. He made sure she would stay dependent on him. And when she became too much trouble, he planned to take everything and disappear. Harrington stands. Objection, Your Honor. The prosecution is editorializing. This email could be Mr. Harrington. Judge Sullivan interrupts. Your client wrote, and I quote, I used the vitamin C plus Dong Quai protocol. He wrote, Rachel blamed herself for years. Perfect. He wrote, I've transferred $340,000 to Cascade Holdings. These are not editorials. These are facts. Objection overruled. Harrington sits. His face is red. D.A. Whitman clicks to the next slide. Digital Forensics Report, Oregon State Crime Lab. The email was sent from Dr. Palmer's office computer at Pacific Women's Health Clinic. The IP address metadata and server logs have been verified. Dr. Brooks provided sworn testimony that he received this email and did not alter it. This is authentic. She turns back to the jury. Let me read the key parts again, because I want you to understand what Dr. Palmer did and why. She reads slowly. Money. Rachel makes $60,000 freelancing. If she got pregnant, she'd quit working. I'd lose that income. She looks up. Dr. Palmer didn't want Rachel to have a child because it would cost him money. He valued his bank account more than her right to motherhood. She keeps reading. Control. A kid means legal ties. Forever. I wanted to walk away clean when I was ready. Another pause. He wanted the option to abandon her. No consequences, no responsibilities. So he made sure she couldn't get pregnant. He took away her choice, her future, her body. She reads the final damning line. The 2015 miscarriage not natural. I used the vitamin C plus Dong Quai protocol. Rachel blamed herself for years. Perfect. The courtroom is silent. Catherine Palmer is crying in the gallery. One of the jurors, a woman in her 40s, has her hand over her mouth. D.A. Whitman holds up the email. This is not speculation. This is not hearsay. This is Vincent Palmer's own words, his own admission of guilt. He destroyed Rachel Whitmore's body, her finances, and her trust, and he thought he would get away with it. She looks at Vincent, but he made one mistake. He wrote it down. He confessed, and now you, the jury, have seen the truth. Vincent is pale. His hands are flat on the table, shaking. Harrington whispers something to him. Vincent shakes his head, jaw clenched. D.A. Whitman turns to Judge Sullivan. Your Honor, the prosecution rests. Judge Sullivan nods. Mr. Harrington, the defense may begin tomorrow at 9 a.m. Court is adjourned. The gavel bangs. Outside, Detective Walsh touches my shoulder. That was it. The smoking gun. I nod, but I can't speak. Catherine walks over, eyes red. Rachel, I'm so sorry. I needed to hear it, I say. I needed to know it wasn't in my head. She squeezes my hand. D.A. Whitman joins us. Tomorrow Harrington will try to salvage this, but that email sealed Vincent's fate. Will the jury convict, I ask. I think she says they already have. That night, I lie awake in Natalie's guest room. I keep replaying the email. Money, control. Rachel blamed herself for years. Perfect. For 10 years, I thought I failed. That my body was broken. That I wasn't strong enough to carry a child. But it wasn't me, it was him. He poisoned me. He took away my chance at motherhood, and he called it perfect. The jury had been deliberating for 5 hours. Every minute felt like a year. I sat in the courtroom, hands folded on my lap nails, digging into my palms so hard I thought I might draw blood. D.A. Sarah Whitman sat beside me, her expression calm, but focused the kind of calm that comes from years of experience. Detective Rebecca Walsh sat one row behind arms-crossed eyes fixed on the jury room door. Catherine Palmer sat to my left, her fingers interlaced with mine. We hadn't spoken since the jury left, but we didn't need to. We both knew what was at stake. Vincent sat at the defense table flanked by Thomas Harrington. He looked composed. Too composed. His hands were folded neatly on the table, his expression blank, as if he were waiting for a routine medical board meeting rather than a verdict that could put him behind bars for the rest of his life. Harrington leaned over and whispered something to him. Vincent didn't respond. He just stared straight ahead. I tried to breathe. In, out, in, out. My chest felt tight, like someone had wrapped steel bands around my ribs. I could hear the hum of the courtroom air conditioning, the shuffle of feet, the muted cough of a journalist in the back row. Everything felt surreal, like I was watching myself from a distance. The door to the jury room opened. My heart stopped. All rise. The bailiff's voice cut through the silence like a blade. Everyone stood. Judge Margaret Sullivan entered, her black robe flowing behind her, her expression unreadable. She took her seat at the bench, adjusted her glasses, and glanced at the jury. 12 faces. Some looked exhausted. Some looked somber. None of them looked at Vincent. Please be seated, Judge Sullivan said. We sat. I couldn't feel my legs. Has the jury reached a verdict? Judge Sullivan asked. The foreperson, a middle-aged woman in a blue cardigan, stood. She held a folded piece of paper in her hand. Her voice was steady but quiet. We have your honor. The bailiff took the paper from her and handed it to Judge Sullivan. The judge unfolded it, read it silently, and then handed it back to the bailiff. Her expression didn't change. I couldn't breathe. The defendant will rise, Judge Sullivan said. Vincent stood. Harrington stood beside him. Vincent's face was a mask, no fear, no hope, nothing, just emptiness. Judge Sullivan looked at the jury. On the charge of assault in the first degree under ORS 163.185, how do you find the defendant? The foreperson's voice rang clear. Guilty. The word hit me like a tidal wave. My vision blurred. I felt Catherine's hand squeeze mine so hard I thought my bones might crack. Sarah Whitman exhaled slowly beside me. Detective Walsh nodded just once her jaw set. On the charge of criminal mistreatment in the first degree under ORS 163.205, how do you find the defendant? Guilty. On the charge of unlawful medical procedure under ORS 677.190, how do you find the defendant? Guilty. On the charge of fraudulent use of medical records under ORS 165.540, how do you find the defendant? Guilty. On the charge of theft in the first degree under ORS 164.055, how do you find the defendant? Guilty. On the charge of reckless endangerment under ORS 163.195, how do you find the defendant? Guilty. 6 counts, 6 guilty verdicts. I couldn't hold it in anymore. The tears came hot and fast, and I pressed my hand over my mouth to muffle the sob that threatened to escape. Catherine was crying too silent, tears streaming down her cheeks. Sarah Whitman reached over and gently touched my shoulder. "It's over," she whispered. "You did it." But it didn't feel over. Not yet. Vincent stood perfectly still. No reaction, no change in expression. He didn't look at me, didn't look at anyone. Harrington leaned over and whispered something to him. Vincent gave a single, almost imperceptible nod. Judge Sullivan thanked the jury and dismissed them. They filed out silently, some glancing at Vincent, some at me. Then the judge turned her attention back to Vincent. "Mr. Palmer, you have been found guilty on all 6 counts. Sentencing will take place in 2 weeks on December 20th, 2025. Until then, you will remain in custody without bail. Bailiff, please remand the defendant." 2 officers approached Vincent. He didn't resist. They placed handcuffs around his wrists, and for the first time I saw a flicker of something in his eyes, anger maybe, or defiance. As they led him toward the side door, he stopped and turned his head. His gaze locked onto mine, and then he said it. "You'll never have a child, Rachel. I made sure of that." The words hung in the air like poison. I felt my stomach drop, felt the room spin. Catherine gasped. Sarah Whitman shot to her feet. "Your Honor!" Judge Sullivan slammed her gavel. "Remove the defendant, now!" The officers pulled Vincent away, but his eyes stayed on me until the door closed behind him. And then he was gone. 2 weeks later, December 20th, 2025, the sentencing hearing was smaller, quieter. Fewer reporters, fewer spectators. But the weight of it was just as heavy. I sat in the front row again, flanked by Sarah Whitman and Detective Walsh. Catherine sat behind me, along with Amanda Collins, who had come forward after the trial to testify in the civil case. We didn't speak much. We didn't need to. Vincent was brought in wearing an orange jumpsuit, wrists and ankles shackled. He didn't look at me, didn't look at anyone. He just stared at the floor as the officers guided him to his seat. Judge Sullivan entered, and we rose. She took her seat, opened a file, and looked directly at Vincent. Dr. Vincent Palmer. She began, her voice firm and steady. "You have been convicted of 6 felony counts. Before I impose your sentence, do you have anything to say?" Harrington stood. "Your Honor, my client wishes to reserve his right to appeal and will not be making a statement at this time." Judge Sullivan nodded. "Very well." She adjusted her glasses and began reading from the sentencing document. "On the charge of assault in the first degree, you are hereby sentenced to 15 years in the Oregon State Penitentiary." My breath caught. 15 years. It was more than I dared to hope for. "On the charge of unlawful medical procedure, you are hereby sentenced to 8 years to run consecutively. On the charges of criminal mistreatment in the first degree, fraudulent use of medical records theft in the first degree, and reckless endangerment, you are hereby sentenced to a combined total of 4 years to run concurrently with the previous sentences." She paused, letting the numbers sink in. Your total sentence is 27 years in the Oregon State Penitentiary. You are also ordered to pay $280,000 in criminal restitution to Ms. Rachel Whitmore for medical expenses, counseling, and related costs. She looked up at Vincent. Additionally, the Oregon Medical Board has permanently revoked your medical license. You are prohibited from practicing medicine in any capacity, and your name will be reported to the National Practitioner Data Bank, ensuring you will never be licensed in any state again. She leaned forward, her voice dropping but carrying a steely edge. Dr. Palmer, you abused your medical knowledge, your position of trust, and the love of your wife to systematically destroy her life. You stole her ability to have children. You stole her financial security. You stole years of her life. You are a danger to every woman who crosses your path. 27 years is the minimum you deserve. I hope you spend every day of it reflecting on the harm you have caused. She slammed the gavel. This court is adjourned. The officers moved to take Vincent away. He stood slowly, his face still blank. But as he turned toward the door, he looked back one last time. His eyes found mine across the courtroom, and then he was gone. Sarah Whitman stood and turned to me. It's over, Rachel. You won. I nodded, but I couldn't speak. I felt hollow, relieved, exhausted. Catherine reached over and hugged me tightly. You did it, she whispered. You stopped him. Detective Walsh shook my hand. If you ever need anything, you call me, anytime. I thanked them all. But as I walked out of the courthouse into the cold December air, I realized something. Vincent was right about one thing. I would never have a child the way I dreamed. Not biologically. But he didn't get to decide my future. Not anymore. I would rebuild. I would heal, and I would make damn sure no other woman had to go through what I did. 2 weeks. 2 weeks since I heard the words, 27 years. 2 weeks to learn how to breathe again. I stood on the courthouse steps on December 20th, 2025, watching Vincent Palmer disappear into a police van, shackled and silent. His final words echoed in my mind for days. You'll never have a child. I made sure of that. For a while, I believed him. But then I realized something. He was wrong. Vincent took my ability to have biological children. He took 10 years of my life, my trust, my health. But he didn't take my future. That was still mine. 3 days after sentencing, the court seized all assets held by Cascade Holdings, LLC. The house at 680 Riverside Drive, the one Vincent secretly transferred in July 2025, was returned to me. The joint savings account drained to $2,847 by 47 wire transfers over 5 years was restored to $340,000. I received $280,000 in criminal restitution and won an $850,000 civil judgment for emotional distress and loss of reproductive capacity. Total assets approximately $2.15 million. It felt surreal. For the first time in a decade, I had financial independence. I sold the house at 680 Riverside Drive. I couldn't live there anymore. Couldn't walk through those rooms without remembering. I bought a one-bedroom apartment in southeast Portland near Hawthorne District with big windows and hardwood floors. It was quiet, clean, and mine. I started therapy with Dr. Linda Harper, the psychologist who testified at Vincent's trial. She diagnosed me with PTSD stemming from prolonged emotional abuse, medical coercion, and gaslighting. The first few sessions were brutal. I cried for hours, couldn't sleep, couldn't silence Vincent's voice in my head. Dr. Harper was patient. She taught me grounding techniques, breathing exercises, journaling. She reminded me again and again that my pain was real, that I wasn't crazy, that Vincent's manipulation was deliberate and criminal. Slowly, I began to believe her. I returned to graphic design part-time, working remotely from my apartment. My clients were understanding. Most had read about the trial in the Portland Tribune. One client, a nonprofit called Women's Health Advocacy Network, asked if I'd share my story at their annual conference. I said no, not yet. But the question planted a seed. In late December, I registered a domain, thetruththeydon'ttellyu.com. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to say, but I knew I had to say something. Too many women experience what I went through: medical coercion gaslighting by doctors' procedures without informed consent. If my story could help one woman trust her instincts and seek a second opinion, it would be worth it. Catherine Palmer called me on Christmas Eve. We'd held hands during the trial, but hadn't spoken since. We met for coffee and spent 3 hours talking about Vincent, about survival, about rebuilding. "I should have spoken up sooner," she said, voice breaking. "Don't," I interrupted. "You were terrified, I understand. You came forward when it mattered. You saved me." We cried and hugged for a long time. Amanda Collins also reached out. The woman with 2 children who'd believed Vincent was single thanked me for exposing him. "I was so angry at first," she admitted. "But then I saw the evidence. I realized he was going to leave me too. I'm raising my kids alone now, but at least I'm free." Detective Rebecca Walsh stopped by with a potted succulent. "Thought you could use something low maintenance." She grinned. She updated me Vincent was in Oregon State Penitentiary with no chance of appeal. His medical license permanently revoked his name in the National Practitioner Data Bank. "You stopped him," she said. Dr. James Mitchell, the OBGYN, who discovered the IUD, called in early January and asked if I'd like coffee sometime. No pressure. I wasn't ready to date, maybe wouldn't be for a long time, but I appreciated his kindness. "Maybe in a few months," I told him. "Thank you for asking." He understood. On January 5th, 2026, the exact day Vincent had planned to flee to San Francisco with Melissa, I published my first blog post titled, "My Truth." I wrote about the pelvic pain in March 2025, Vincent dismissing it as stress doctor. Mitchell's discovery, the 2017 surgery, the induced miscarriage in 2015, the trial, the verdict, the 27-year sentence. But I also wrote about hope. Vincent Palmer tried to destroy me. He stole my ability to have biological children, my savings years of my life. But he didn't steal my future. I am rebuilding, I am healing, and I am not alone. To every woman reading this, trust your pain. It is real. Seek a second opinion. You are not crazy. You deserve informed consent. You deserve to be heard. You deserve justice. Within 24 hours, the post had over 5,000 views and hundreds of comments, women sharing their own stories of medical coercion, dismissed pain procedures without consent. I cried reading them, not from sadness, but from solidarity. We were not alone. I sat by the window that evening watching Christmas lights twinkle along Hawthorne Boulevard. My phone buzzed a text from Dr. Mitchell. "Read your post. You're incredibly brave. Coffee offer still stands." I smiled. I wasn't ready yet, but maybe one day. I stood and walked to the balcony. The January air was cold, biting, but I didn't feel cold. I felt alive. Vincent's words echoed again. "You'll never have a child." Maybe not biologically, but I'd been researching foster care through Oregon's Department of Human Services. Maybe one day I'd adopt a little girl who'd been through the system just like I had. Maybe I'd give her the childhood I never had. Love doesn't need DNA. I looked out over the city lights, people, life continuing. Somewhere, Vincent Palmer sat in a prison cell, his future erased. And I was here, free. I whispered into the night, "You didn't win, Vincent. You never did." And for the first time in 10 years, I believed it. Based on true stories, 1 in 4 women experience medical coercion or abuse in healthcare settings. If you or someone you know needs support, contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233 or Oregon Coalition Against Domestic and Sexual Violence at 1-503-230-1951. Informed consent is a human right. Looking back, I realize how easily family betrayal can hide behind love. Vincent wasn't just my husband, he was my doctor, the person I trusted most. And that trust nearly destroyed me. Family betrayal doesn't always come from strangers. Sometimes it's the person sleeping next to you. I believed every word he said, signed every form without reading, never questioned his diagnoses. Don't be like me. Don't let anyone's spouse, doctor, or family control your medical decisions without your full understanding. Always seek a second opinion. Always ask questions. Your body, your choice. I won't lie, there were days I wanted family revenge, days I wanted Vincent to feel every ounce of pain he caused. But true family revenge isn't about hatred. It's about justice. 27 years in prison, a revoked license, and a name on the National Practitioner Databank that's family revenge served by the law, not bitterness. And honestly, it gave me peace. God didn't abandon me during those 10 years. I believe He put Dr. Mitchell, Detective Walsh, and Catherine in my path at the exact right moments. Not because I deserved it, but because every woman deserves the truth. Family betrayal taught me trust but verify, love but protect yourself, and never ignore pain just because someone tells you to. If my story resonated with you, please leave a comment below. Have you experienced medical coercion or family betrayal? Share this video to help other women recognize the warning signs and subscribe for more stories about resilience and justice. Your support means everything. Thank you for staying until the end. I know this was difficult to hear, but I hope it empowers you. A quick note. The stories on this channel may include fictionalized elements for educational purposes. If this content isn't for you, feel free to explore other videos. Take care, you deserve it.